Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with Sean Bell.
Hello.
Matt Murray.
Hello.
And James Farley.
Hello.
I'd like to start the show by giving a shout out to our Patreon producers this month. They went full Nels. They are Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks chap, Simon Nelson, Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Trans Rights and Human Rights, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Happy Birthday Sam and Neil. I cannot believe Sam and Neil are still being mentioned. Gabsy, Rocketman76, Rex Reese, Happy New Year Sam, love from Neil. It is now July. Grey Dragon Claw, Fred Fenge, Smooth Monkey, Happy Mother's Day Sam, love from Dr. Farley's Sexy Fan, Don Whiskerando, friend of the show, Sam, Justin Smith, Colin Smith, The Pond Skater, Philip Powell, and a returning Full Nels member back in the fold. It's Richard Sawyer.
Nice.
He's back.
Thank you so much for supporting us. You too can support us by going to patreon.com/TCGS. Various different tiers there, and the £4.50 and above tier has got so much more exciting now that this Friday, isn't it, Matt? This Friday.
This Friday is
Marvel Calls.
The launch of Marvel Calls, yeah.
It's the launch of Marvel Calls. And if you are signed up to our Patreon, then you already have access to the episode 0. And then on Friday, you will get episode 1 and 2. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah. Episode 1 is the intro, and episode 2 is the start of the film, which is Iron Man.
Iron Man.
It's good because it coincides with me deleting Twitter as well, so it's good.
James said, we were talking about this last night, we recorded an episode last night, and we were talking about like the announcement and everything, and James said that at the live show, it finally hit him how much trouble he was in with his bullshit that he comes out with during these calls. So I am quite looking forward to how people react to him.
It's going to be so bad, James. I'm sorry.
I know.
You think so, yeah. Matt? You've heard them now, right?
I mean, I haven't listened to them all. There will be so many questions. And it's tough because there are like 70 years of comics and whatnot, and then so many references and whatnot in the movies as well. But hopefully it's fine, James.
Sean, I'm interested. Do you think the fan base for this stuff is worse with Star Wars or Marvel?
Oh God, I think
like not worse as in like horrible people, right? There's horrible people in all fan bases, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is like the nitpicking, like, no, you got that wrong about this. Like, is it going to be worse this time round than it was for Star Wars?
I think Star Wars is probably worse, right? Because Star Wars is like, here is the canonical series of events and established facts, and like
watch us break them.
Yeah, well, yeah. Whereas Marvel, like, obviously just by its very nature, has gone through so many like iterations of its own stuff, and and even has like a whole series that explores like parallel universes where things are slightly different, and so I think
it's allowed to be different.
I think people aren't as like married to like, no, this is what happened. Don't you fucking dare get it wrong. Like, it's not as much a thing.
See, I'm glad you said all this, Sean, because it basically means I'm off the hook. So it's fine.
It doesn't though. It doesn't, because there's also stuff about physics and falling and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that
the physics stuff's going to be the worst bit.
I will say this though, right? So it launches this Friday, 22nd of July, right? And if you are signed up at Patreon, you will automatically get those episodes sent to you. I apologise if you didn't want them, but you're getting them anyway, right? It's just the way that Patreon works with their RSS feeds. There's nothing we can do about it. Yeah, it is like that.
I thought about that the other day, Sean. That was absolutely ridiculous that everyone just got sent the YouTube out. Yeah, that's...
Yeah. But here's the thing. Even if you're already getting them, please just subscribe on the Friday. You can get rid of it on the Saturday, but on the Friday, we need you to subscribe because this is the most important bit. We've not got a marketing budget. The only way we get to do things is through word of mouth, right? And the more people that sign up on Friday, the higher we'll go up the iTunes charts.
Sorry, just to clarify, this is
really important.
This is not the Patreon sign-up. This is like subscribing on Apple Podcasts and whatnot. So feed, so and also just to clarify, this isn't a Patreon exclusive podcast. Patrons just get episodes a week early, but it's on every podcast service. It'd be Spotify, Pocket Cast, Apple, Google Podcasts, you name it, all the other kind of other podcast apps and whatnot. You can get it there, but on Friday, that's when we launch properly on all those platforms. And that's where, the most important day in terms of getting the show up the chart. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, even if you're Patreon subscribers, David just said, go on your app and subscribe, download it. We want to get as high as we can, like the TV and film charts on the Friday of launch. It's going to be really exciting, I think.
I really appreciate that. That'd be great. Friday, it's the big one. I can't fucking wait. I can't wait. Right, okay, should we get to feedback on last week's show, Matt? Was it good, was it?
We're going to start with Don Whiskerando.
For starters, right, I should say, before we go on, right, it's insane that we're recording tonight. It's absolutely insane. We all said to each other today, why are we not just, cancelling it? Because this is the hottest day of the year. I'm sure you all know, because it's been all over the news, right? I'm already, gasping for breath. This is now officially worse than that little room before the laser quest the other week. It's now officially worse than that.
Yeah.
I am absolutely sweltering here. And we said, should we not do it? Should we not do it? Let's do a short one this week. And I was like, yeah, but I kind of want to see how it goes tonight. I've got a feeling that our mood is not going to be in a good way, and I want to see what happens. I want to see some fireworks.
I think it might be delirious by the end. But so we're recording on the Monday. The Tuesday is when it's going to get even hotter. So we chose the right day for them too.
Yeah, because I was going to say, we didn't even have the option of let's just postpone it a day because it's just going to be even worse.
Still pretty hot though. It's still pretty hot.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's go. Feedback. Let's go.
Don Whiskerando. Unbelievable, David. It's not a difficult name.
I know. I know. I don't know what it is, but I did it this week, right? I was all right this week.
Yeah.
The problem was, I said it all right this week, and then I stumbled over the next one because I'm so proud of myself for saying it was for saying it right. Sorry, Don Whiskerando, but I promise you, I will nail it down. Just keep signing up every month, and eventually I'll get it by Christmas.
He's trying his hardest.
I'm trying my hardest. Don't know. You can't have a go at that.
Yeah,
this is going to end with Joe getting you sectioned because you just keep standing in front of the bathroom mirror going Don Whiskerando, for hours.
I like to think that's the case, Sean, but I've done weirder shit and she hasn't got me sectioned.
It wouldn't even register.
It's easily
it
done.
It wouldn't even register.
I mean, you remember the Ramalapattar problem that I had?
God,
with that,
Wasn't that Matt?
No, that was James.
That was me. Yeah.
Was it you that said
Ramalapattar? And I couldn't get it right.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did that video.
I still call him that.
And then you said, are you doing a spell?
Streams. That was it. I still call him that on streams when he pops up. Hello, Ramalapattar. I love that shit. Right, go on.
Okay, Simon DM. Just wanted to shout out Dave for the Miyu Mini. Is it Miyu or Mayu?
I think everyone says Miyu.
Miyu Mini recommendation on the show. I decided to grab one after he was talking about it, and as a dad who has pretty much no time to game, it's a perfect little device to pick up when I get a spare 5 minutes. Also, shout out to Sean for his Pico 8 stream, which led me to play some Pico 8 games on it. Highly recommend everyone try out some out. P.S. Absolutely gutted to have missed the live show, but it was my daughter's first birthday, which is also my fiance's birthday, so I don't think it would have gone down too well if I went to Sheffield instead. That's from Simon DM.
You bring them along for a massive birthday party. What better birthday party than that?
Look what I've arranged for you two. These are all your friends.
What an amazing birth. We're playing 5 hours of Laser Quest, and then after that, you're going to have an hour and a half's entertainment, which is just in jokes. It's just in jokes.
Not just that. Birthdays happen every year. It's but the live show, that's not going to happen. Maybe won't even ever happen again. We don't know.
That's true. I mean, I'd love to know. The people that come, because there was a few people there that said, I've never listened to the show. I don't know what the show is, right? There was a few people there like that. I'd love to know what they thought, because it was in jokes throughout the whole thing, basically. And references to old podcasts that we'd done. It's a quite impenetrable.
I mean, one of them got a T-shirt to the face.
That's true.
Imagine one of them being like, why are people all wearing this T-shirt with this Midnight Resistance on it? What is some sort of cult or something? What is it? I don't know.
Let those years go, Sean. Let them go. The Miyu Mini, man. I'm still playing it quite regularly because of how easy it is to pick up and just play. I thought I'd be done with it by now.
I didn't know it could play Pico 8 stuff. That's really interesting.
I don't even know what Pico 8 stuff is.
Well, I did a series of very successful streams about
I
it,
did
Dave.
not watch them.
I know,
Sean.
I know, Dave.
I'm
We
sorry.
all know that. That's obvious.
You never watch my streams, do you? You don't watch my streams, do you?
No, but I know what Road 96 is.
So we're all cool. we're all cool. I will allow you to never watch one of my streams if you allow me never to watch one.
If you were streaming something that I'd literally never heard of, I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I wonder what this is all about. Just saying. Just saying.
FIFA. Right, okay, all right, fine. Pico 8. And you had a T-shirt with it on, didn't you?
I
At
did.
The thing? Didn't bother asking you.
Didn't even.
I saw it. I
didn't
went, it's
question
a
it.
Pico 8 thing, but
Oh yeah,
Probably some band
Sean's
P4.
wearing some nerd shit again.
what is it then?
Pico 8.
Let's do it. What is it?
That's fucking right. Sit down. It is a fantasy console. So it's a console, but it's just a program that you run on your computer. But apparently you can run it on your Pico 8, your Mihu Mini as well. So it's basically, but what's cool about it is that it's like a really simple like game creation tool as well. Like it's got stuff built in. It's like really easy to code for, and it's got like a built-in sprite editor and music editor and stuff. And it's just super easy to just make stuff for free and then put it out. And equally, like any game you download, you can just look at the code. So like Celeste famously was started out as a Pico 8 game, and like you could just download the Pico 8 version of Celeste and be like, right, I'll take the movement mechanics from that and put it in my game, for example. It's not quite that simple,
Right.
but yeah.
So there's no connection here with the Sega Pico, right? This is all
No.
just completely right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like I dodged a bullet with that stream.
My my favourite fancy console is probably the Sony Base Station.
Beg your pardon. I'd forgotten all about. I'd seen a picture of the Genesis Nomad today.
Yeah, the handheld.
I think someone must have tweeted it, right? What was the deal with that, James?
It never came out. It never came out in Europe. It came
Yeah,
out in
over here it
America.
didn't come out. Yeah.
And
Why the fuck didn't it come out over here?
because
wouldn't that be massive?
you still had to run it off like mains power most of the time because it
Yeah,
drank
but so did the
batteries.
fucking Game Gear.
No, but this was worse. Like it was,
it was worse than the Game Gear.
No lessons
But also-
learned from the Game Gear. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Sega Europe had other priorities at that time because they were still trying to push the Mega CD, weren't
Wasn't
they?
the Mega Drive like bigger over here than it was in America?
No, the Mega Drive was the Genesis was massive in America. Like it was.
Right,
it came second, like to the Super NES eventually, but it was still
Obviously.
huge over there, like much bigger than it was
Okay.
here.
All right. Okay. Well, a little bit of a lesson from James Farley there. Thanks, mate.
I love
Love
that
that.
era. It's great.
Do ya?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Okay,
whistleblower.
and just to be clear,
Okay.
James is not in the UK. So if he's like a bit off tonight, he's got no excuse.
Oh,
What do you mean? Like, how was that off? That wasn't off at all. I was
It was
giving you
just
some
a-
quality facts there.
No, it was, but then I don't know. I felt like Dave was inviting you to elaborate, and then you just didn't.
No, I just said,
no.
I love that era, and then
no,
he just
no,
went.
no. I think
"Do
you're
you?"
actually off in this instance, Sean. You know, I've got you back a lot, but I think
But
you were
not
actually
this,
off on
this
that one.
time. You stabbed that back's getting fucking stabbed.
I like the fact that we were all moaning about it being hot, and James was like, "Oh no, it's not hot where I am," and we're like, "Oh, okay,
Like, yeah, it's 'cause
yeah,
you're
it
in a
was
different
really
country.
hot over here." He was like, "Well, I've been in 40-degree weather."
No, I think
was like,
I think
okay,
that's
all right.
because David. Immediately you started like having a go at me and saying like, "Oh, if you were in this place as hot as this, you'd be cancelling the show right away."
You
And then
That
fucking
is
would,
true, to be fair.
Isn't that not
That is
true?
100% true.
it's not
James,
true at
come
all.
on.
As I said, I podcasted when I was over there, and I did it at 2
Can I
a.m.
ask you a question? When we were texting each other during the day today, and we were talking about possibly cancelling the recording
I was
tonight,
biting my
how
tongue.
excited were you?
I was biting my tongue. I was just sitting there thinking, I'm
Crossing
saying
your
nothing.
fingers more like.
No, hold on. What were you biting your tongue to stop you from saying? What did you want to say?
I was going to call you a bunch of snowflakes, but you know.
Unbelievable.
Go on then.
The whistleblower referees. As a man who proudly wears black shorts up to his chest as part of his job on the pitch, I resent the joke David made last week. We referees have an influence on the game, have such an influence on the game's popularity that Peter Shilton's handball Maradona, the popular Specky game, was named after one of our calls. In fact, Dino Dini's kickoff recognised that we were not mere mortals and chose to represent us in the game simply as an omnipresent whistle. Think about that the next time we're tempted to chuckle at our eyesight. Love y'all.
Okay.
Were you slagging off?
Right, listen,
referees?
whistleblower. I've been going to live football since I was about 12, right? on the reg. Yeah, there's nothing you can say that will make me respect you. There's absolutely nothing. Ray Winston tried with his FA adverts, mate. He gave it a good go, but it didn't work. It didn't fucking work. Yeah, a referee's a wanker. That's the chance.
Famously.
It's very hot. Next.
Yes, Transters, feedback on Matt's Final Fantasy VII discussion. Just wanted to say, Matt, I was happy to hear you enjoying the original Final Fantasy VII on last week's show. Kudos to you for persisting with it. The original game was my favourite personal game, so it is really awesome to hear you playing it through for the first time, especially after playing the remake. I'm looking forward to your further impressions soon. P.S. James, friendly reminder, please don't forget to try out Persona 5 Strikers. I know you really enjoyed Persona 5 back then, so I reckon you'd really enjoy it. Give it a try when you get a chance. Cheers, keep up the quality show, lads.
Can you imagine...
more to the point, is this Transters returning to emailing the show? Didn't Transters used to email us all the time?
Yeah. Transters used to rip me a new one every single week.
Back. Nice one, Transters. Welcome back, man. Appreciate the email. Appreciate it. James?
Oh, I was hoping you were going to forget about this bit.
Nope. That's the focus, really.
Well, no, because it's not the focus of the thing. But it's the focus is Final Fantasy VII, Matt.
Well, I want to hear your take on Strikers.
Well, I don't want to play it.
What's
just
the issue
to check, it's a fighting game, right?
Exactly, it's a Muso game, and I just don't want to play another one of those.
Game.
Yeah.
Oh, is it not? Is not the side on beat 'em up? It's right. Okay.
No, I think
It's a Muso game.
Isn't this the Dynasty Warriors one?
Sorry,
right.
Muso game is Dynasty Warriors Day. Yeah.
Right, okay. Just say Dynasty Warriors then, James.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, David. Yeah.
Cheers. No, you're all right. Matt, anything to say about Final Fantasy VII?
I'm still enjoying it, still loving it.
Right.
I'm
Did you play any? Because you put it on your little device, didn't you, Sean? Did you play any of it?
I have played a bit of it, but not enough to comment really yet.
So, like, have you ever played Final Fantasy VII before, Sean? On that,
I played. So I did like the first disc back in the day on PC, I think. But I mean, it's so long ago that I don't remember it very well anyway. So I'm basically playing it fresh.
Do you know, I've tried to play that game about 4 or 5 times, and I always end up playing it for about 14, 15 hours and then stopping. And I don't know why.
That's unlike you as well. Usually, if you're in, you're in.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah, for some reason, I never get that far with it. This is why I still do mean to play the remake at some point, because maybe I'd have more luck with that.
I mean, the remake's way different. Yeah, you should absolutely play the remake.
The only experience I've got with Final Fantasy VII, other than playing the remake, is that I remember as a kid, my mate had a PlayStation, Paul, and he was going...
PlayStation Paul? I never had one of those.
He had a PlayStation Paul. It was like very limited edition. And he was like playing Final Fantasy VII, and he was like, "You got to play this game. You got to see it. It's amazing. It's like this whole world." And I was like, "Right, okay, right. So what do you do in it?" He said, "Well, if you need to get the train somewhere, you got to wait for the train to arrive at a certain time."
What?
And I went, "That sounds awful." He went, "It's really good."
You sure he wasn't talking about Shenmue?
I was going to say, it doesn't sound like Final Fantasy VII.
No. This was definitely Final Fantasy VII. It was about trains. He was banging on about trains.
I mean, that's not even true, is it? Of Final Fantasy VII, that's not a thing.
There is a train in it.
Have a go at Paul then.
We'll get him on. Give him a bell now. Ring him now.
What's his surname? Matt always gives surnames when he brings up people from the past.
That's bad, because I'm thinking here, I've got Paul McEnany. He was my friend.
It wasn't him.
That's not the
sounds
the right
made
one.
up, to be honest.
Definitely not.
He was later on.
McEnany.
He was later on.
Made up.
There was Paul...
what
was his name?
Struggling with his made-up friend.
Is it Jones?
Is it Smith? Is it Paul Smith?
Makes t-shirts now.
PlayStation Paul.
Yeah, he gave up the trains in games.
What's his name? I had Paul Moody. He was another friend.
I wasn't Moody.
That wasn't the right one.
You've mentioned him before.
Moody.
I remember that name.
Have I mentioned Paul Moody before?
Definitely, yeah.
It wasn't Big Mood.
Paul Moody. Oh, maybe it was him, actually. Oh, I can't remember. Who cares? Right, next.
Good radio, this.
Yeah.
We're not on the radio, Sean. It doesn't matter.
my friend from school was obsessed, was called Martin Day. And
I know you keep mentioning
he was, and that was up until the remake. That was my only kind of experience with the game. That he was just playing it all the time and saying how massive it was.
For the train.
He didn't mention trains actually. I should get back in touch with him and ask him. Mike has emailed. Had stopped listening for 15 minutes when that dingus James started deliberately misunderstanding why not needing a public-facing Facebook profile on user Quest is a good
Right,
thing.
Matt. Sorting it.
It is, yes.
It's
I'm going to do it
warm.
again. I'll cut this one out.
A little bit warm.
Say
Right.
again, go on. No,
Okay.
leave it in. Don't cut it out.
Well, I'll read it again anyway, just so people can understand what the hell I'm trying to say.
Read it out. I'll give you
What
an
is
edit
going
point.
on?
No,
It's
he's
hot
going to try
over
and read
here,
it again
James.
because he fucked it all up.
May
Right, go on.
mentioned it's warm.
Right. Okay, Mike has emailed everyone. Had to stop listening for 15 minutes when that dingus James started deliberately misunderstanding why not needing a public Facebook profile to use a Quest is a good thing.
Okay, you fucked that up the first time. I hope you kept that into the edit, Matt.
Yeah, I'll keep it.
Yeah, good. I just want to put that in there to make sure. James, you got called out there, mate.
No, I don't really care. I mean, the fact
James is getting far too big for
Copping an
his boots,
attitude,
I
isn't
think.
he?
No, I don't
know.
care because this
His
is
attitude recently has been disgraceful. Go on.
no, because this is ridiculous. Like the whole point I was trying to make about this is it's like, oh no, it's not a Facebook account. It's still a Meta account. They're all still the same company.
Yeah, but
it's
that's
still
not the
sucking
reason
up
why
all
it's
your personal
better that they're
data.
getting rid of it.
Oh, who
Yeah, but
cares?
so's everything else. So's your Apple fucking phone, James. So's Google. Everything you do with Google.
Yeah, but that still
all of
doesn't
that
make
shit.
it. That still doesn't make it
We're
great,
recording
does
on
it?
Discord. Where do you think your fucking details are going, mate?
Yeah, no,
No,
that's,
it doesn't
that's,
mean
the-
it's great.
that's exactly the point I'm making. Who cares whether it's a Facebook profile or a Meta profile? It's all the same stuff. Who cares?
Because it makes it easier to sign up with just a headset.
Yeah.
You don't
That
need
was
to
the
have
point
a
we're
fake
making, and you
social
know
media
that.
profile.
And
with-
I think you know that, James.
I
Don't
do.
you?
I just don't care.
well,
then
it
you
sounds
don't
like
care,
you're
but then
arguing.
you're arguing the toss for no
I've worked
reason.
out what it is, Sean.
Yeah.
I've worked out what it is.
Yeah.
He fucking done me on that episode about controllers, and it's gone straight to his head. Have you seen him on Twitter recently? Have you
No,
seen him on
I have.
Twitter?
I have.
His little quips that he's been putting on Twitter, and anything to do with Xbox is like David. And I'm like, all right, James, fucking get back in your box. Where's this come from?
The,
And that's
it
really
is.
sensitive about this, David. Have you?
the one,
I mean,
the one.
See what I mean? This is what I'm talking about, James. You're doing it again.
The kahunas on this boy.
Oh, you seem a bit sensitive about it. You never would have done that
why are you scanning through all
pre-controller
my?
argument.
Why are you scanning through all my tweets looking when I
I
post
don't
about
need
Xbox?
to. You at me.
That's true.
You know how Twitter works.
I did laugh at the one with the Xbox swimming pool.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Sean. He's sent that twice now. He's made that
has he?
joke twice. The same
Is
one
it only
about that
twice?
swimming
That's
pool
weird.
twice.
No, you misunderstood. I made the joke on Twitter and also privately in our group as well.
No, you put it on Twitter as well. You've put that Xbox
It's a good
swimming
joke.
pool on.
It's a good joke.
If you look at James's media tab on Twitter, it's basically 15 pictures of that Xbox hot tub.
To be fair, it's just hit me that if you looked on my media thing, it's just James doing the T pose in front of his class. So, I mean, repeated jokes maybe I shouldn't be
Are
throwing
funny
stones, but-
always.
But
Fact.
James, I think that's it. I think you won that argument fair and square, and I think it's gone to your head. And I'm just, as a friend, I'm pointing out to you that maybe you need to rein it in a little bit because it's getting embarrassing.
You just sound threatened, Dave. You know, I don't know why you're getting
But
worked
I don't,
up.
mate. It's fine. You won an argument. I'm impressed. But this attitude, this new attitude, James.
What new
you've
attitude?
Turned up to school with your uncle's leather jacket, and you think you're it.
Yeah, James is punching the jukebox every day at the moment. And that's not a euphemism.
No, he's gone quiet. Look, this is classic James.
No, because
That's
I
good.
thought
That's good. We're
Matt
back
was
to
going to
normal
follow
James.
up on that excellent Fonz joke. But
No,
he didn't.
James, I do a quip, then go silent, wait for laughter, move on. That's kind of how it works.
Okay.
Sort of what I do. Are we done now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
let's
done.
move
Go
on.
to tcgs.co/dear TCGS if you want to leave us some feedback.
Oh, isn't it
Very
hot? Go on.
It really
is
is quite
uncomfortably
It's
hot.
10
warm.
degrees over in where you are.
20 degrees at the moment. It's great.
Don't take the piss out of
20
him, Matt.
degrees.
He lived in 40-degree weather
Oh,
once.
good point. Yeah, he was once on the surface of the sun. No, sorry about that.
And I tell you what, I bet he didn't fucking moan about it once.
No, they famously just didn't mention it.
James, it's the news.
Okay, so here is some news. It's thrown me off now because I
Oh,
thought you were going
what?
to give me a bit more of a build up, but then
I
you
really
didn't.
enjoyed.
Right, okay, one sec.
How
One
much
sec.
more
Ready?
build-up do you need?
Ready? News.
News. PlayStation Stars loyalty program has been announced.
It didn't sound any better with the build-up.
No,
I'll
it
tell you
didn't, did
that.
it? It was
The build-up
rubbish,
did
wasn't it?
nothing.
Do you
I
want
But
it
quite
again?
enjoyed him
Rubbish.
saying here
Do you
is
need
some
a third
news,
go?
whatever it was. It was good.
Go
I
on.
preferred the first
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
So did I.
Shame. That's a real shame, that is.
Shall
Why
I read the headline
one
again?
fucking up tonight? Go on. Yeah, let's do it.
Shall I read the headline again or not bother?
Please.
Okay, so PlayStation Stars loyalty program has been announced.
What is that?
Okay, so what this is this is very similar to the... What is going on?
That is just what is that? We all know what it is. It's the Microsoft thing, isn't it?
Basically, yeah, it's the same sort of thing. It's like you get points by logging in, completing activities and stuff, and then you can redeem these for PSN wallet funds and other PS Store stuff. But the best bit about this is the quote, like from this. So,
Oh, yeah.
because some of the activities, like also you can get what they're calling digital collectibles. So they said these are digital representations of things that PlayStation fans enjoy, including figurines of beloved and iconic characters from games and other forms of entertainment, as well as cherished devices that tap into Sony's history of innovation. It's definitely not NFTs, definitely not.
No.
You can't trade them or sell them. It's not leveraging any blockchain technologies, and definitely not NFTs. You know,
Is that what they said? That's the quote.
Yep.
it says it's definitely
That's
not
the
NFTs.
quote, yeah.
That's quite funny.
Yeah.
I'm glad they clarified that.
That is quite funny.
But then
actually.
it's also, but then that just means it's literally just a JPEG.
Basically, yeah, it's going to be. But
it's
also,
a
what are you going to
collectible
do with these
JPEG.
things? What's the point? You know, is it just going to be on a list on your console? Or
Oh,
something?
look,
It's like,
I
you
mean,
know,
I can't really have a go at them because the people that are into this stuff, they like it, right? So,
Well,
as
yeah,
far as
but
I'm
if
aware,
it was
this sort of
like-
started with Steam, right? Steam had these badges,
yeah.
and then Microsoft did their Microsoft reward points. Now you've got this stars thing, whatever. You know,
I was just
Well,
like, you know,
Nintendo have the weirdest one. You've got 7,000 silver coins. What can I do with them? Nothing.
yeah.
Can I
Well,
change the
wallpaper.
background
the
on my
silver
Switch?
ones, the
No.
gold ones, or the gold ones? I can never remember.
I know. There's the gold, platinum, and silver ones.
Oh,
They
that's
don't
right.
make sense. And then when you get to the catalogue where you can actually spend them, they go, does a mobile phone background?
Yeah, do you
Well,
want a
no,
ringtone?
it's nuts. Like, it's absolutely
But then
nuts.
occasionally you'll go on, like, you know, fucking hot UK deals, and someone will be like, "Oh, they're selling some amazing one of a kind item," and it's like, and then you go on, and it's like, "Oh no, I haven't got enough points."
Yeah, I've got a third of the points
Yeah.
available after 5 years. The only experience I've got with them is the emails you get where it's like, well, it's fucking running out. We gave you these coins 3 weeks ago and you haven't used them.
Yeah,
so
I was getting expiration emails. Like, well, what can I do with them? Well,
what's
Nothing.
the point in putting expiration
Yeah.
emails in?
I-
Jesus,
Seriously though, like if so yeah, digital representations of things that PlayStation fans enjoy, etc., etc. Like if that's like a little 3D model, and there was like a virtual like shelf, right, and that
Sure.
you could display them on, people would be into that.
Sean, you are describing Astro's Playroom.
Oh,
Because
fair
that's,
enough.
that's exactly what happens in that.
Oh,
'Cause
right.
you remember, you play through the game and you collect all this stuff, which is like, you know, PlayStation peripherals and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like a big room that you go in and then you can like, look at it all.
I mean, I don't want to tell him anything about that game because he will get a PS5 eventually, and that game is the fucking best thing on that system, I think, so far.
it's incredible, yeah.
I mean, that's not the
it's
not the
so
greatest
good.
advert for getting me to buy a PS5, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can you say? I mean, like either of the consoles, why should I upgrade to a new console? Literally, the biggest thing to get a new console for is faster loading times. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean that fucking Astro's Playroom, man, it's so good.
I mean, if it's something like that, I mean, it's not going to be that, obviously, but, you know, where it's like you can, I don't know, I don't care. I don't know.
Stuff's the
I'm
least
just saying-
interesting. Like,
Yeah, like
again,
I'm just saying, like obviously it's easy to make fun, but as I say, if there was some like cool way of sort of collecting them and displaying them, like people would be up for it.
Mhm.
So,
yeah, but that stuff to me is the
least.
least interesting part. I mean, again, like Microsoft Reward Points, if I can play games I'm playing anyway and earn some money to, I don't know, save money off PSN stuff or get discounts on games and
Or free
then that's
keyboard.
cool. I mean, I took it too far with Microsoft Reward Points, obviously,
Did you?
but I am using a keyboard which is fully paid for using that stuff.
And what really upsets me is that I think I do actually want your exact keyboard, Matt.
It is a fucking good keyboard, but it's very expensive. Well, it wasn't expensive to me; it was free. And by free, I meant I spent hundreds of hours of my own life.
Yeah, that's the
Free
difference.
things.
Just cost
isn't
you
it?
loads of unpaid labour.
Yeah, massively under minimum wage, but whatever. It was kind of
the amount
free.
of electricity it cost.
Kind of free in a way. So I mean, these things are great for kind of platform holders because they just get people to play games more and play games they wouldn't ordinarily play. I mean, that's what Microsoft all points.
They get to track people. Isn't that the idea?
Yeah. Well, how do you mean so? I mean, they're tracking anyway because it's their platform.
Yeah, I know, but they get to... Isn't that whole... Like, they get to shift around... Like, there's definitely a reason why each reward is based on certain things, right?
You mean it's to encourage people to play games in a certain way or something like that?
Yeah, like, and maybe they've promised a certain amount of players for a certain game or whatever, and this is a way to shift their audience over to a certain game. That must
you could totally do that. That
right?
makes sense. Yeah, if it's like if you get this, if you complete
why
whatever.
Sony would have a deal with someone to say we could get you this amount of. Maybe that's that's probably bollocks, but I'm sure it's a way of controlling their audience because they're a corporation, guys.
It's a way of getting more people. It's a way of getting people to play more. Like, I mean, that's one of the reasons for doing it, isn't it? It's the lock-in, you know.
Yeah, and these are things that they can tell shareholders, you know, that play time is up and number of titles played on services up. But I think there probably would be deals with certain like people if like, you know, if someone was told or they got to enter an agreement whereby their game was part of next month's PlayStation Stars, and so they know loads of people will be playing it and then also potentially be buying in-game DLC, then that's obviously incredibly lucrative for the developer. So I think there probably would be the deals with these people. But yeah, anyway, on our side, it makes. I mean, I don't mind these things. I think I enjoyed Marks of All Points, and we'll see how this one goes. But
if
you can play games you're playing anyway, save money, then cool, why not?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Next story is about John Riccatello, because he's the CEO of Unity, and he's now had to apologise. This is because last week he said this? It was last week, I think.
Yeah,
he said that. He said mobile developers who didn't prioritise monetization were some of the biggest fucking idiots. So
I love it.
So he came out and said that, and so he's now come out and said sorry. This and then he's put out a statement. Can I go through the statement?
Please do.
Yes, please.
So first, I have great respect for game developers. The work they do is amazing. The creativity can be
fucking idiots, mate.
Yeah, it's not. not great.
Okay.
The creativity can be incredible, whether on a AAA console, mobile, or indie game designed to be played by millions, or a creative project, a game made just for the sheer joy of it. Second, one thing I've seen is that most game devs work incredibly hard and want people to play their game, to enjoy it, and when appropriate for players to engage deeply. For the game devs I've worked most closely with, there is often anxiety about whether players will love the game and appreciate all the work and the love that went into making it. Third, sometimes all a game developer wants is to have a handful of friends enjoy the game. Art for art's sake, and art for friends. Others want players to buy the game for game items so they can make a living.
What the fuck are you doing? Why are you telling us this?
What a weird
fucking statement.
Both of these motivations are noble. Fourth, what I was trying to say... Fourth, what I was trying to say, and clearly failed at saying, is that there are better ways for game developers to get an early read on what players think of their game, to learn from their feedback, and if the developer wants to adjust the game based on this feedback. It's a choice to listen and act or just listen. Again,
can I just stop you there, right? I love the defence was what I was trying to say is something completely different. It's not even close to what you said.
No, nothing at all.
There's no misunderstanding there. There's no, I see this as a grey area.
Yeah.
No, you're just saying you were trying to say something completely different there, mate.
Yeah, because he claims he was taken out of context, so he's providing the context here. It's a choice to listen and act or just listen. Again, both are very valid choices. If I had been smarter in choosing my words, I would have said just this. We are working to provide developers with tools so they can better understand what their players think, and it is up to them to act or not based on this feedback. Anyway, that's it. Lots of words and a sentence I wish I'd never said.
Unfortunately, I used the words fucking idiot.
You're all fucking idiot.
Look, I mean, honestly, when I saw his thing, and maybe I'm an arsehole or whatever, but I kind of understood his original point. Like, when was the last time you played a fully paid up game on mobile and like it's been a massive success? When was the last game that did that?
Fortnite.
Well, it's free to play, isn't it?
What?
That's free to play, James.
Yeah, but
he's talking like
free to play as well.
premium mobile games, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, obviously, the way he said it is extremely disrespectful. But for someone behind Unity saying, "Look, mobile developers really need to think about monetization because that's where the industry is, right? On mobile." I think that's a valid point.
Wasn't his statement more that developers should be thinking about monetization like as part of the design process?
Yeah,
I think
he's saying they should prioritise it. It should be the main focus.
Yeah,
but how could you not do that if that's your business?
Because some people are creating stuff because they want to create something,
which is great.
It's not necessarily about making,
which is great,
cash.
Right? The problem is, the problem he did was refer to the people that are not doing that as fucking idiots, right? Like there's no getting around that, and I'm not defending him saying that. But what I'm saying, there is a valid point to be made that's saying if you want to make money on mobile, then you've got to think about mobile monetization during the development process. Like I think that's a valid point.
I feel like I think because what struck me about it is that there are different kinds of free-to-play games. There are some where it's like, hey, this game is inherently enjoyable and also you can pay some money for, cosmetics, free, like leveling up or whatever. And then there are ones where it feels like, oh, they've started, like when they were first, coming up with the blueprint for this game, they were like, right, here's how we're going to monetize it. And that sense that it's kind of seeped into every part of the design is what really grosses some people out. Like when games feel like they are built to take that money out of you, or else you can't engage with the game properly.
I mean, I'm playing a free to play game on mobile at the moment. Harry started playing it, and he introduced me to it. I'd never heard of it before, but now I play it every day. It's called Wordscapes. It's called Wordscapes. It's like a crossword thing, and you've probably seen adverts for it or whatever. But some of the tricks they use are crazy. Like, oh, here's a tournament now. So you're in a tournament. You've got to complete the puzzle within a certain time. But if you don't, then like every time you complete the puzzle in a certain time, your bonuses go up. But if you fuck up and you don't do it, you can pay in-game currency to reserve like your bonus. And if you don't, it goes down to nothing. It's just
manipulative and gross, all these things.
There's also there's a piggy bank, and every time you complete a mission, some money goes in the in-game currency goes in the piggy bank, and then it's like, well, the piggy bank's only £2 if you want to open up the piggy bank, and look how much you've accumulated in it. It's full up now, so you can't add any more. But so
it's taking it's creaming stuff off the top, and then you have the opportunity to buy it back.
Yep.
Amazing.
It's nuts, man. Like, it is really interesting, and the fucking adverts you have to go through. It's, I mean, I'm sure everyone's aware of them now, but the fucking adverts where it's like a full screen of a game, and then it's like, skip. I don't want this game. Then it brings up the App Store and says, install it, and you go, no, and then it takes you to like a fake version of the game where it's like, oh, connect these. Go on.
Yeah,
it's
like interact with it.
Okay. Yeah. And then, like 20 seconds later, then you get to close it down and get back to your game. Like, it's nuts.
The whole. Do you follow mobile game hell on Twitter?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's just collections of like those weird adverts. Like, it's just this whole insane thing that like all these just bizarre mobile games. And like say the amount of them where they're like, oh, like 96% of players couldn't figure this out. Like, well, and it's like a really obvious thing, and it's meant to make you go, "Oh, well, I can do it. Maybe I'm really smart, and I should." I'm
brainy.
Oh, horrible.
The worst I've seen, and I don't know if they can still do this, but the absolute disgrace. And when you look it up, it's all true. Do you remember Talking Tom and those games? Like the little kids' games where you could tickle the cat's belly and it talks, and then
Elodie watched like the Netflix series at one point.
Yeah,
she hadn't played the game, but she watched the show.
All of that, but. Every now and then, an advert would appear at the top for a Lullaby premium phone number, and all you had to do was touch that, and the phone would call that number.
Shit.
So, if you gave your kid your phone or whatever, and then you went and did some washing up, you come back, they could have racked up like hundreds of pounds worth of phone calls by touching that advert at the top.
Because anyone
this is
just like during dial-up when there was like all the porn stuff, when it was like all the dialers and all that people
No, go on.
installed.
Don't know what you're talking about.
What was
James
that?
never saw any of that, sort of thing.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. What was
I was
that,
playing
James?
Dreamcast online. What were you doing?
No, I was doing. I mean, I was in technical
doing
support
what?
at the time, so I used to go to people's houses and have to deal with that stuff. It was quite funny.
dear.
Of course.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah,
Was
of
that
course. It makes sense.
You obviously only heard about it through work.
Yeah.
It was through work, obviously.
Yeah, it wasn't
Professional
a personal
curiosity.
thing, it's just
Check his hard drive.
We had to be aware.
check his phone line.
It's back to John Riccatello. It's a shame that like this is why he sort of re-entered the news, right? Because I know like he's been CEO of Unity for a good while now, and up until last week, my understanding was that Unity was still very popular with indies. I know like people have this perception that like, oh, if it's a Unity game, it's going to be badly optimized. I don't feel like that's really been the case for a long time now.
No, I don't think that's been the
there's
case.
loads of like brilliant looking games that run Unity, but it was just interesting because like obviously it used to be at EA, and it felt like his sort of time at EA was like this really wonderful period where they were putting out like Skate, Mirror's Edge, Battlefield Bad Company, and like EA was sort of taking all these risks. I mean, I checked, and as it turns out, most of those games were almost certainly in development before he became CEO.
Yeah,
but
he was also hardcore into like microtransactions and stuff.
This is it,
as
yeah.
well.
And it's kind of, but then he lost. Well, he ended up quitting because he lost EA a shitload of money, didn't he? Which again, at the time, I was like, yeah, but we got loads of good games out of it, so respect. So it's a shame that like this is why his name has come back up, I guess. But yeah, it was really interesting seeing on Twitter people being like, oh, any indie developers that are using Unity should sack it off and switch to Unreal. And it's like, guys, do you know how much work that is? Like,
yeah, can you imagine that? switch to Unreal. Also, yeah, the Unreal, the the engine that has no controversial things about it whatsoever. Okay, all right, okay.
I find this whole story interesting because only like 5 days ago came the news that Unity is actually merging with another company called Iron Source, and they're famous for making malware stuff.
Oh, really?
Malware installers, sorry. So that was 5 days ago. Then he said this stuff, and if you Google kind of Unity, all the stuff comes from, it's all stories about the CEO, nothing about the fact that they're merging with this malware installer company.
Oh,
interesting.
You think that this might be
possibly
a tactic?
I know a lot of devs on Twitter who are like, fuck Unity, this isn't good. Yeah, so I don't know much about Iron Source, but yeah, they were making like the wrappers of a malware. I don't know much about that, but everyone's saying malware, and not happy about it. But now suddenly all the news about this. So yeah,
little controversial quote out there. It covers up the merger.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying, Matt.
possibly. Don't know.
I see what you're saying. Did you nick that from someone? You've been on your conspiracy websites
Just made
again?
up my head, mate.
Just briefly, while we're on game engines, which we sort of were.
Oh yeah.
I know it's a hot topic.
Oh, I can't wait for this. Go on.
No, it just reminded me. It just reminded me, listeners of this podcast. Obviously, we talked a lot about the Artful Escape last year. Game Maker's Notebook podcast has got an interview with Johnny Galvatron.
He's a character as well. I've heard many interviews with him.
Do you know?
He's a character.
I was
always
expecting
worth listening to.
I was expecting the worst, but he's all right.
No, he's great.
He's
Cool. He's just very eccentric, and his views on video game development are totally different to your regular interviews. It's really interesting.
But
I'll be giving that a listen.
There's a brief chat about why they adopted Unreal basically, and he was like, well, for starters, they were running a program where you could apply for like a $25,000 grant, and he'd sent them an email saying, "Hi, I'm sort of working on an app. How do I get a grant?" And they replied saying, "Here you go."
Like, really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then apparently he met Tim Sweeney, and he was like, "Yeah, you gave me a grant, and then I started making something, and then that became something else, and now I've got a deal with Annapurna Interactive." And apparently Tim Sweeney just said, "Cool."
Tim Sweeney, what a guy.
Well done.
Okay. All right. Interested to go check that podcast out.
Worth a listen.
Okay, next story. I mean, speaking of microtransactions, Fall Guys has had a bit of a thing this week.
Right.
What is this?
Okay.
I haven't heard this.
So what this was that they've apologised because there was a bug that did auto purchasing of premium items. So the issue first,
What does that mean?
Well, the issue first appeared on Reddit, basically, with lots of players complaining, saying that things have been auto purchased when they were previewing them in the in-game store.
Oh,
so,
no, really?
Yeah, and then also people were complaining, saying that like showbucks had been going missing as well, and that things had been switched after they'd selected them, and then also people were finding they had just less money for some reason as well,
right.
like less in-game currency. But then where this got a bit not so great is where people started contacting the game's support team, and so then PC Gamer has like been in contact with some people that contacted customer service, and they basically, this is what they said. They said, so the customer services said to these people, this is according to PC Gamer, you have stated that this is a bugged purchase and a known issue. Neither of these is the case. The purchase was made by you, not a bug. Whether it was intentional or not, this is still the case.
What?
This is not a known issue because it is not an issue. Items cannot be bought automatically by the system. They always require input from the player. Again, whether accidental or not, you made this input and purchased the item. As per our EULA, which you agreed to, all purchases are final and will not be refunded.
This is what Sony did. Do you remember when Sony did this shit and everyone was like, what?
Yeah.
And they're just going down the Sony route. This is nuts. Go on.
So Mediatonic have now responded, where obviously they've said, yes, there was some bugs, and they said, what is happening in the game is not intended, and we are actively fixing it. The customer service response was also not acceptable, and we will offer a make good for all affected. Offer to make good for all affected. So basically, they're giving players like some like legendary costumes and stuff like that, and they're also honouring refund requests now as well. So, yeah.
The customer service stuff is interesting because literally, there's some people that are just, they don't know much about like the development and what can go wrong and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so they suddenly get someone in a chat saying, oh, there's a bug purchase. They're going to say, no, it's not. Until it's been put right by the company or whatever, and hopefully,
it's
that gets refunded.
It's not a known issue because the sheet I'm looking at doesn't say it's a known issue.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's it. Yeah.
That's the thing.
Okay.
There's also been a follow up to this. So they've given everyone the rewards now, and basically it's all like phallic themed. So they're called tall guys. They're elongated.
What?
Fall Guys costumes. I'll put a link in the doc. This came out today. Yeah, basically they're called tall.
Is it actually phallic or is it? Does it just look weird?
If you look at the picture, like the kind of promotional picture looks rather phallic, but in the end it's just a taller Fall Guy.
Oh, it's a taller Fall Guy. Okay,
but yeah,
I'm digging that. I like that.
Because it was obviously a widely publicised cock up, so they're leaning right into that, which I quite enjoyed.
Cool. I like that game. It's good. Go on.
Yeah,
it's a bloody good
Asher's
game.
loving it. He plays it all the time. He's one of
Yeah. I don't know when it goes on the free feed, but Kane and Rince have done an episode on Fall Guys, which is just a fascinating listen because obviously you know what Kane and Rince is normally like, and it's like, oh, everyone who's on the show has got to have like played the game to death. You've got to complete it. You've got to know so much about it. But then this is one recording where everyone's kind of like, yeah, I just sort of come and go with it. Really, it's really nice. Why
the fuck was I not invited on that?
Don't like you, probably.
I know, I shouldn't be like that. I should try and be humble or whatever, but fucking hell. So, I'm joking, obviously. I need to put, we did get a bit of feedback from my friend Chris, who said that story that I told where I shouted at Zeno to grab hold of a player so we could win the game last week, I think it was. I wasn't actually alive at that point. I'd fallen off before I shouted that at Zeno.
I'm glad Chris
I don't know why that
it.
was I don't know why that angered him so much. But I
think that's worth clarifying. No, thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
There we go.
Cheers, mate.
Next.
Okay. So a former BioWare writer, or this was Drew Karpyshyn, who was one of the writers on the first game and also the second one for some of the time. He's revealed some of the ideas for endings that they had for the end of Mass Effect. And I mean, shall I read you the quote from this?
Absolutely heartbreaking. This Sean.
Yeah, it was
absolutely heartbreaking.
Go on.
Go on. No, go on. What were you going to say?
I was going to say it's not heartbreaking because I can see why there were problems with it and why they decided not to go with it, but also
can you?
But well, yeah, we'll get into it in a sec. Go on, James.
Okay, all right, go on. Read the quote.
So it says basically it involved luring the Reapers through the mass relays, then detonating the entire network to wipe them out, but also damaging the relays and isolating every galactic community from the others. But we still had to figure out a lot of the details, and there were some issues with that option, like what we do in the next series of games. So yeah, that
kills me, because that is like the most perfect ending to that thing. And I'm thinking, surely it's easier to come up with a second series of games with a new narrative than to find a ending just as good as that.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
So obviously we spoke about this on WhatsApp, and like same as you, I was like, as soon as I read it, I was like, well, that makes way more sense than any of the.
It would have been really
endings.
Cool as well. It's just like it's like the galaxy has been saved at what cost?
Well,
though?
this is it.
The cost is that we can't share our our space with other like races like that. That's a huge thing. Not only that, it's a really cool idea that they're luring them into the mass relays, which are really important in like the tiny percentage bit. You'd forget what Mass Effect was like if you didn't just get told at the start of each game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't really play with that idea,
and
this completely brings it into the forefront of the whole fucking series.
Yeah, like it makes sense in like logistically, right? Because the first game and to an extent the second one set the Reapers up as this like fucking invincible, unknowable enemy, and then it turns out like they just weren't that bad in the end. So to have an ending where it's like, oh well, you can defeat them, but this is the cost, right?
This is
makes
the cost,
sense. However, when I started thinking about it more, and I was like, well, that's the renegade option, right? It's like it's effective, but it's destructive, and if you're a space racist, it separates everyone as well.
No, I know, I get that, right? I understand that. But you can be sad about that fact, but also knowing that you're saving all of the races.
But is that just the sort of thing that a renegade would say to themselves, David?
No way.
They might do, but
universe.
It is also preventing annihilation of like everybody.
Yeah, but you could say that about any of the other renegade choices. They're all like quote unquote good choices, but they're just very destructive at the same time.
I don't know. But either way, like if we got that choice as to whether what sounds like me and James would take to save the universe and separate for a while until we can regroup and build this technology again, or the Sean route, let the universe die.
There's always a better way. I would quite like it, for a series that is always like, like the renegade route is generally like the relatively easy way out, right? As long as you don't mind being a bit of an arsehole. Whereas I think it would be like an interesting twist for the ending to be like, no, this is just it, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? But then obviously people boot off about there not being a choice. The excuse about like, oh yeah, but how would it feed into the next game or whatever? Well, it doesn't need to if there's other options, right? Because obviously Mass Effect 3 had multiple endings. Yeah, all right, just different colours, but there were very, very different implications. Like there is an ending where you actually just blow up all the mass relays. And there's endings where they appear to blow up, and then it goes, oh no, they were damaged, and we repaired them. But the point is, if there's going to be a Mass Effect 4 that actually follows on from that, then obviously they are just picking one of those endings as the canonical ending and moving forward with it. So it's not, do you know what I mean? To just go, oh, we came up with one ending, but then we couldn't move the story forward after that with it, so we decided not to do it, seems odd. Because if there are alternatives where you could continue the story, then you would just choose those as the... I feel
bad because anyone that doesn't know fucking Mass Effect, this is just gibberish. So I don't want to go on about it too much.
Enough,
but...
Dave.
They have had long enough.
They've had long enough.
But like, there is part of me that just kind of thinks, the idea that actually your decisions led to who comes with you to where you end up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if the universe separates, but your decisions decide who is with you in your part of the universe. Like that's exciting to me. That's really cool. But whatever. Like it's done now, isn't it? This was really heartbreaking to read because it it got me so excited when I read it. And I just thought, what we ended up getting.
I do
that's
wonder
nowhere
if
near as
we'll ever
interesting.
get like the full story of what went on, because even like discounting this, that's just come out from Drew Karpyshyn, like, like the whole, like, the indoctrination theory and stuff, there are clearly like elements in there that were supposed to lead to bigger things at the end and then didn't. And you wonder how much of that is like, relatively last minute changes and stuff, which happens all the time. It's not that unusual.
Do you know what needs to happen?
What?
Danny O'Dwyer, Chris Pratt need to get together.
Team up.
I need to get together those two and sort it out, get the story out of them. You listening, Danny, Chris? Yeah, get involved. get us the truth, please.
But do we know like what the setting and stuff is for the new Mass Effect? We don't, do we?
Nah.
No, we don't
Other than
know
that poster, I think that's all we know. Isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
The image we've seen.
Like,
I still feel gutted about what happened with Andromeda.
I was about to say,
I played and finished that, and it had some really good ideas. It's just a shame what happened to it.
And the setting makes total sense, like, in terms of how you get away from the original trilogy. Like, it's absolutely ideal. Like, yes, the game had problems, but I would be fully supportive if they were like, yeah, fuck it, we're doing Andromeda 2. And like, right, good. Just a little bit better this time.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, we've had some news about Skate. EA have revealed an 18-minute Skate video. Have you seen it, Sean?
I didn't know there was an 18-minute one. Shit, I just read this, obviously, all the news around it, but I didn't realise it was a massive video.
So, I've not watched it either.
Cool.
They've announced that it's not a sequel, remake, reboot, or prequel, and it's just going to be called Skate, and it's going to be a live service free-to-play game. And the reason for this is that the developers are saying that this will allow them to, this is the quote, listen to players over the course of time and put the features they want into it, as the game will be updated for years to come, giving players something they can regularly come back to and discover new things. And it's going to support full, like, cross-play, cross-progression across PC and consoles, and there's also a mobile version coming as well. But then they've also promised that it's not going to be pay to win, and that it's not going to unlock gameplay elements, but it's going to be like they're not going to be like paid loot boxes, but there will be like microtransactions for cosmetics and what they're calling convenience. I mean, the convenience thing is a bit worrying because that sounds a bit like with Battlefront 2. Like, do you remember when they said, like, there's no, we're not doing loot crates and all that kind of stuff, but then you could pay to unlock things, like, significantly faster, like, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm wondering, do you reckon they're going to, with this is going to be, like, they're going to have, like, celebrities and stuff in this, or, like, Darth Vader and things? And that's the plan with this.
I'll be all right with that.
Are they the options of
feel the
celebrities
vibe,
or Darth Vader?
Yeah.
Is that,
no, you know what I mean? Like, when they're trying to do, like,
guys, we got to
Fortnite.
decide, are we going to have celebrities or are we going to have Darth Vader?
Yeah,
No, it's going to be like, it's like Fortnite, but with, like, on skateboards, so it's like Batman skateboarding and stuff like that.
That would be that won't be the same tone as they've had before, but
No.
I mean, any opportunity, I guess, to bring new eyes to it potentially. I haven't seen the 18-minute trailer, but the 18-minute video it's mostly like a discussion between the creative director and some other people from the creative team. But I absolutely loved the trailer they showed, where they show kind of untextured blockouts of like levels. I thought that was brilliant because you never see that stuff in trailers.
No.
I thought that was awesome to see, and it just looked good. And I think it makes sense to do free to play. It makes sense to do live service. Obviously, there's worries about microtransactions, but you'd like to think that they've learned from previous games that they've released and others have released where it's kind of backfired. And yes, I've no doubt that some of the microtransactions will be to unlock things quicker than to do it by playing the game.
I'll tell you what, Matt. If they're not prioritising monetization, they're some of the biggest fucking idiots.
It's true.
I've heard
It's true.
that, yeah, very true.
I mean, yeah, so obviously, I don't know if you've ever been on the internet. There's people on there and they comment on things. They weren't happy with this at all. I have not even mixed feelings, really. Just part of me is like, I've wanted a new skate game for years. If this is just the deal they had to make with the suits at EA to get it done, then I'll take it. And like I've said before, like the skate games were full of advertising, right? Like for the the stuff the skaters were wearing. There was they had the like updated via the internet, like in-game adverts and stuff. I'm not saying that stuff was okay. It's just it's not necessarily new for the series, right? And Skate 2 and I can't remember if Skate 3 had anything similar, but Skate 2 infamously had the Time is Money DLC where you could pay like 800 Microsoft points and it would just unlock everything. Like in terms of like locations, and there was all like part of the story was that like the city had put those like skate stoppers on all rails and steps and stuff, and you like in the campaign you would like do stuff and then you could like pay a mate to come and remove them. It would just so it would just remove all of those.
Hang on, Sean, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Did this come out at the same time as Dead Space 3?
No, I think
because I'm wondering
that.
if the person that the mate is John Riccatello here, because it was under him that they did all of this, like paying all these microtransactions for stuff.
That'd be so good, wouldn't it? How fucking good would that be if it was a suit from EA that removed them like physically in the game? There's like a cutscene.
Skate has dabbled with some scummy stuff before. My main worry is that with it being a live service game, like if it does turn out to not make that much money, which let's face it is a real concern, they'll fucking turn it off. We've already seen so the previous Skate games had the Skate Reel service where you'd upload your cool videos to and stuff. That all got shut down, and obviously, like I've said before, but if they made a new Skate game, like they don't need that because the sharing functionality is built into everything now. What it turns out they actually could do is just shut down the entire game instead. So
yeah. You see, if this was coming from somebody that wasn't EA, I'd be a bit more optimistic about how it's going to end up.
Yeah.
But they're usually pretty quick to just shut things down if they don't feel that they're working.
Yeah.
That'd be the concern.
What have they shut down quickly before then?
Anthem.
They really tried with Anthem, James.
They get like 1 year, 2 years?
It's not a very long time, is it?
Not a long time in gaming, though, is it?
No.
But I think this makes sense to be a live service game, so they'll do seasons of this and seasons of that. Did you just
try and bamboozle James then? Was that what happened there?
I just wasn't sure what other examples there were. Other than Anthem, what else
as we've learned, James is bulletproof this week, so don't even try it.
Fucking swagger.
What else they done? Other than Anthem, what else they done, James?
Sorry, say that again?
Other than Anthem, what else they shut down early?
I'll tell you what they did shut down early recently. Was that? Do you remember that Command & Conquer game?
No, and I guess that's part of the reason
why
they did.
That was that. Don't you remember at E3 they had that big announcement that Command & Conquer was back,
right.
And it was and everyone was annoyed because it was a free-to-play mobile game, and they shut it down.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, Matt.
Apart from them two, James, what else have they done?
Go on. That's it.
Okay, next story is another skateboarding one because Tony Hawk is getting involved in the metaverse.
I've read this and I thought, is he? Or he just signed a bit of paper with his fucking name on it?
David, he's building the metaverse's biggest skate park.
Is he doing it?
No, it's a company called Sandbox. The Sandbox are doing it. And
did you hear the interview about how Tony Hawk's Pro Skater come about? It was basically, so I said yes, and then I saw the game when it was coming out, and I thought, oh right, you weren't really involved there. No, you just took that massive check. Go on.
So what this is built on the Ethereum blockchain, and it lets users exchange cryptocurrency for access to virtual plots of land. And then you can monetize voxel assets by trading in-game items as NFTs. So this is the quote.
Oh, right. Is this similar to, is this a Second Life type thing? Because Ringo Starr's done one of this.
Yeah, it may even be the same company that's doing it. So
Spatial is the Ringo Starr one.
No, this is called the Sandbox. So it's called the Sandbox. Will make these NFTs interoperable in its own metaverse. Turning autographs high fidelity avatars into 3D voxel versions that have in-game functionality for experiences, adding utility and value for their owners. So Tony Hawk said, I've been a fan of new technology all of my life, from the first video games and home computers with CGI capabilities. So I'm fascinated by the metaverse and excited to bring our culture into the virtual landscape of the Sandbox.
Definitely said.
Our culture, fucking
definitely said all of that.
Like ska punk music and kicking each other in the nuts. That. What are you talking about?
I mean, do you want to hear who? So the Sandbox. Do you want to hear who they got partnerships with for this virtual world?
Amajiro, is it?
They've got over 300.
No, they won't be him.
They've got Ubisoft. They've also got The Walking Dead, Snoop Dogg, Adidas, the Smurfs, Care Bears, and Atari.
I beg your pardon.
You didn't mention Deadmau's, James.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, Deadmau5 as well,
yeah. What? Okay. What? They're all teaming up with Tony Hawk's, are they? Like in some sort of Smash Brothers style?
I don't know. I mean, presumably you can get like a virtual skateboard in Care Bears or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. Are they going to realise that at some point that they've got to make these games sort of semi-entertaining? Like if the idea is to put people into this ridiculous economy, has any of them sort of realised that, actually, really, we need to make it somewhat interesting for people to actually fucking install this?
Yeah, like, when have you ever heard someone say, like, oh, look, this game's come out, it does have NFTs in it, but it's really good. Like, that's not, that's not happened.
Man.
Yeah, they should focus on
Me
that.
and my mates play it every night. We're obsessed with it. What do? Sort of walk around in a sort of second lifestyle setting? Oh, yeah, what else? No, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? What the fuck?
All it's going to take is someone to make the first half decent Web 3.0 game, and people might actually pay attention.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, though, is it?
Not happening, is it? It's like, and obviously, people are very disappointed with Mr. Hawk over all this. And on the one hand, it would be easy to be like, but
sold out. Is that
big fucking surprise, rich old white guy getting involved in NFTs. But also, like, Tony Hawk has very much, like, his transition has been from, like, being kind of a dick when he was younger, but actually maturing and seeming like a genuinely sound guy as he has grown older, right? Like, he's like, there's so many like videos of him just doing like cool, nice and funny things, and like, it just seems really sound. So that's why I think that's why it's sort of fair to be disappointed by this. But
right,
yeah. Do you know what? I'm really disappointed with myself.
Yeah.
Because something terrible's just happened.
Oh no!
I made a faux pas.
Oh no!
Didn't recall.
No, not that. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's to do with the show.
Not Tony Hawk the skater.
No, it's
shat himself.
Command & Conquer Rivals wasn't cancelled.
Oh no!
Oh, James.
Yeah.
Oh, James.
Wasn't cancelled. You can still
absolutely done there.
You can still download it.
You can still find it.
Still, just you lied.
It's still around. I didn't lie. I just made a mistake.
James Foley lied and people died.
You've been lying there. Yeah.
Lied.
Okay.
That's a real shame,
Anyway,
James. That's a shame to hear.
It is. Yeah. I feel really bad about that.
You probably should do. Yes, bad.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's worked out quite well, because obviously Matt wouldn't now be petty enough to then say, well, you should name another one that they cancelled.
No, but I would love to hear
got away
another
with
one.
it.
I will say this, though. I don't even know if this conversation is happening now. I'm not really following it, and it's so hot.
Is it hot, David?
This is like a fever thing now.
It could be, yeah, none of this is real. You're going to wake up and be like, oh, thank fuck we didn't actually say any of that shit.
Yeah, and then Matt's going to text us saying, what time are we recording tonight?
Yeah.
I had a really lucid dream. They're talking about dreams again. Let's go. I had a really lucid dream this morning where I woke up in London and was just like, oh, fuck, how did I must just, I don't know, like, in my sleep, like, got on the train.
That's the difference. We're in London, aren't we?
I don't know how lucid
that? Do you miss the place?
I really should sort out a visit, because I haven't seen a lot of. I suppose we went to Sam White's that time. That sort of counts. It's not really London, though, is it?
Yeah, that's done. That's done. Tick.
I was there 2 weeks ago. It's brilliant to be back there.
Was it?
Love it. Yeah.
Well, we haven't talked about this on the show, and it's another tangent, so I do apologise. It's very hot, I may have mentioned. Is anyone thinking of going to EGX this year?
Possibly.
I don't know. Thought about it.
I quite, and I've said this in WhatsApp and stuff. I quite like the idea of going with no agenda whatsoever and not having to do a show. Not that I don't like doing the shows, but it'd be quite nice just to have that experience again of just being a punter with a, obviously I'll ask for a press pass and see what happens. But
I'm not fucking paying for it.
But you know what I mean? Just I can just play stuff and not be like, right, fuck, what am I going to talk about? And just be nice to just experience it without any pressure, I suppose.
I would like to take Harry again at some point, because he enjoyed it a lot last time, and it was rubbish.
It wasn't even good.
when it's good.
When is it, Sean?
Is it
October?
No, September. It's second half of September.
Oh, September. The MCM Expo's October.
You see, he's all about his fucking Comic Con now, isn't he?
Well, I just want to take him. I want Harry to walk around and actually know the superheroes.
Oh, I've watched a comic book movie. Comic Con.
I've watched a fair few of them, Matt, actually.
Trust
I'm more
me,
of a comic book fan than you are these
David, I
days.
know about that.
To be fair, Dave has definitely seen more MCU films than me at this point. When he
That's mad.
when you said you were doing it, and I was like, "Oh man, there's like a couple I haven't seen," and then you were like, "Oh man, you've seen Black Panther? No. Oh, have you seen Doctor Strange? No. Oh, have you seen?" you kept.
I cannot believe you haven't seen Black Panther. That's the one that sticks out for me.
It's one of the best.
Well, David's changed, isn't he?
Maybe it's not one of the best, James. I'm not going to give my opinion on that film. Okay,
it's one of the best, but anyway.
Okay, yeah, but I'm not going to.
I'm giving my opinion there. It's fine.
Okay, good.
What about his opinion?
What about it? Let's go. Next, please. We need to get to the end of this podcast.
Yeah, sorry.
I can't feel my face. Come on.
So, Nintendo are acquiring a visual production firm called Dynamo Pictures.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
When we say visual production firm, what are we talking?
Movies, baby.
Okay.
Hollywood, baby.
Yeah, it's a company. They were founded in 2011, and they produced like visual.
It's on town.
They were
The
previously.
silver screen.
You finished?
No.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Go on. Okay. So they were producing visual content for like Persona 5 and Final Fantasy 13-2 and Metroid Other M and some other stuff. So Nintendo are buying them.
Right. So cutscenes basically rather than like
movies. They're buying them, but they're going to be renamed Nintendo Pictures, and they're going to focus on visual content.
That'd be an upgrade.
Interesting. Okay.
Can I ask, how the fuck did this story make the cut?
I put it up there. If no one cuts it, it doesn't get cut.
I'll be honest. Glancing at the headline, I thought the story was that basically they were like Nintendo had bought like a movie studio.
No, it's a cutscene studio.
We started making this Mario one, and we really enjoyed it. So what we're going to do is...
I mean, it's worse because the quote says they're going to focus on development of visual content utilising Nintendo IP.
That is my favourite type of content, to be fair.
Good stuff.
Why are we doing this news story? I'm nearly dead.
James, to be fair, James is right. It was up for scrutiny, and none of us said a word.
I said cut all 11 stories.
I did turn around and say there's a lot of stories and not one of them is interesting.
To which I agreed, but we have to talk about something.
We all agreed.
Okay.
I mean, people
listening
at home, we did actually cut some stories, so you can imagine how dry they were.
Do you know what's really funny? Is that people that listen to this, like the week it goes up, they're going to kind of understand how delirious we are, right? They're going to have some understanding of it. But there's people that find the show in like 2 years' time, then go back and listen to old ones. When they get to this one, they're going to go, the fuck is going on there? Like, surely it was never that hot.
No, there'll be, when everything's, in about 100 years, when everything's gone fully Mad Max, people will like listen to this and be like, oh man, this is when it really all started to go wrong, isn't it? This is...
Yeah.
And yet no one paid attention. This was the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
But
and instead we're sitting there talking about Tony Hawk's NFT projects.
Yeah. Don't say we, James. You're in fucking 20-degree weather. You're fine. There's nothing wrong with you.
Chilly over there.
It's great. I mean, I've closed my windows in solidarity.
Thank you.
You. Next.
Okay, so there's 2 game announcements as well that Nintendo did last week.
Go on.
You got Nintendo have announced, so it's Kirby's Dream Buffet. That's coming in the summer.
I didn't get this.
No, I don't know what the story is, and so what is this? This sounds...
You've not seen this at all?
No, I've been busy.
So all I knew about this was Joe turned around to me and said, why are Nintendo releasing a Fall Guys? And I went, what? She went, Nintendo are releasing their own Fall Guys. I went, no, they're not. She went, yeah, it's a Kirby one. It was announced today. I said, how do I not know about this? So I watched the trailer and I went, it's not Fall Guys at all. But,
no, not really.
What is it then?
Yeah, she never.
I mean,
it's what the fuck it is, mate.
It's like 4 players, and you like roll around like levels, getting like power ups and stuff, and then you have to like eat everything. And the person who gets to the end and has eaten the most wins. It's
like a competitive platformer game, isn't it? But is it free to play?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. They've not given any information.
you nearly went in
with
all your
free to play NFTs, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. This is not exciting. I thought like a new Kirby game or something.
It'll be a laugh, maybe.
Some weird little
Possibly.
multiplayer
Actually, no. The other.
We'll play it once or twice and never play it.
Yeah,
again.
the other free-to-play
Tournoi.
Kirby games have not.
Yeah,
been
this is my round of the tournoi.
amazing.
But there's a more exciting announcement, isn't there, James?
Yeah, is that Bayonetta 3 is finally coming in October. It's 20th of October it's coming. Have you watched the trailer?
Yes.
Because
No.
it really looks like Bayonetta 2.
It's
Like, it really looks like
visually,
Bayonetta 2.
you
Bayonetta 2
can't
really looks like Bayonetta 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it looked fine, but yeah, I mean,
It does. It looks fine, but it does look like an Xbox 360 game. Like, it really does.
Switch in it. That's all you're going to get.
This
Which
is
isn't a
it.
bad thing.
Yeah.
It's
This
just,
is it, right? The Switch is like old now, and it was like it was 360 sort of power. Like, I mean,
The chip
Maybe a
was a
little
year
bit
old
more.
when it came out.
yeah,
So-
it was.
Yeah.
It's an old console. It's really funny actually because I was playing Neon White today, and the console was getting hot, right, and the fans were kicking off, and I thought, this is coming to the end of its life. This machine, right? Not Nintendo Switch as a thing. My actual Nintendo Switch, you could see that I've battered it over the years, and now it's like struggling. And I'm thinking, do I buy an OLED, right? But they're still 300 quid, and surely it's not going to be worth getting one of them now, right?
I don't know. I don't think there's going to be another new machine next year. I think it's really unlikely still.
It's a lovely screen.
It is. It's so. I mean, I love the OLED. I think it's fantastic. But
But
you know,
for free, yeah. And
It's got a good
when I
stand
play
as well,
the
hasn't it,
majority
James?
of it, the majority of it I play on the big TV anyway. In fact, I very rarely play it like handheld.
so I play mostly in handheld, so it's
Yeah, same here. So for me, it's worth it.
So it's absolutely not worth it, is it? I might as well just struggle with this one that's going to die any day. And then it's not like they're going to be releasing any big titles for it either, is there? I mean, you've got this.
there's a lot of stuff coming out this year. Like if
Of
you
course.
look at the lineup,
Splatoon,
they've got the strongest lineup out of all three of them.
this.
Go on.
What do we go on? They got Bayonetta 3. They've got Splatoon
Okay.
3. They've also got I don't care, but Xenoblade coming out as well.
See, Splatoon 3, yeah, I'm like, I will play that. Bayonetta 3, maybe not.
Really?
I don't know. I didn't play Bayonetta 2.
Oh, mate.
You know?
It makes
Hey, you
it's
know,
Bayonetta 2 was
I-
fantastic.
Yeah, man.
It was really good.
makes the first one look
All right,
pretty
I didn't
rubbish
say
in
it was
comparison.
bad.
It's proper.
Yeah, I
good.
didn't say it was
It was,
bad. I just
it was
never
way better
played
than
it.
the first
Yeah, yeah.
one. It was really good.
Okay, all right.
Dave,
All right,
fucking
James.
play.
I mean, you're just
He's
getting
dead,
it wrong,
James.
David. Why are you getting it wrong?
Chill
Play
out,
the
man.
games we like. Come on.
Yes.
Dave, are you okay? No, I'm serious. Dave, you all right?
Yeah.
Because he
Don't
really
have a
went
cow, man.
in there, didn't he? That's a bit.
He really did go in there. And this
It's a
is the
bit-
problem. Since he won that fucking argument, he's turned into this. Matt.
This
This is what I've got to deal with.
It's quite scary, actually, as one of his friends. Quite, I don't know, I feel a bit. Ooh.
You should play Bayonetta 2. It is incredibly good. It's probably still.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It is 50 quid still, that game.
Do
Fucking hell.
I still have the Switch
Having a
version?
laugh.
I think I probably traded it in. It's probably still Platinum's best for my money, but all 50 quid of it.
It is.
but
It's
yeah,
excellent.
Yeah, really good.
All right.
So, how long ago did that come out?
Ages ago. It came out on the Wii U.
8 years ago
Come
or
out on the
something.
Wii U.
It's still
Yeah.
50 quid.
Yeah. That's how good it is.
Wow.
It's held its
That's on
value.
Amazon.
They're the
Yeah,
best.
no, it's
aren't they,
50 quid.
Nintendo? They're the
Yeah, it's
best.
50 quid everywhere. It's
They're
ridiculous.
the best.
Family
console.
Oh, speaking of,
I never played a Bayonetta game, but
The
obviously
Wii U version's £6 though.
oh well, there you go. There we go. Sorted.
CEX.
it's a cheap way in.
Speaking of it, the family games. Have you heard about the naive angel mode?
Yeah, that was my next thing on there.
so
yeah, so
it's
it's got this.
So
I'm in.
if you've not played Bayonetta,
That's me.
So her sort of superpower is that she uses her hair for magic, right? She she can sort of
Same.
twist it around and sort of punch with it and kick with it and stuff. But also it's what she uses to make her clothes. So as you start doing longer combos and bigger attacks, she has fewer clothes
You
on.
get to see the bot, don't you? You get to see a bit of the
You do
bot.
see a little bit
Do
of
you?
bot.
A little bit of cleave.
Yes, a little bit of cleavage. And basically Naive Angel mode just sort of keeps her covered up no matter what. Which fine. Add it as an option by all means. I don't think I would be
Sean's
Not for me.
there. Sean's
not
this
for me,
close to
obviously.
go, I'm
I'm
fucking using it.
Yeah, fuck that. I don't know. It's not maybe it's just because it's not really something that's come up with Isaac yet because he's only young. But I don't know. That wouldn't have occurred to me as like something I should shield Isaac from. Any thoughts with regards to your children? Anyone?
Oh, God, yeah, that's yeah. Maybe we need to talk about it in a couple of weeks because this exact thing. Well, it's like very similar. Come up in Marvel calls actually. Do you remember, James?
Yes. Well, this has come up multiple times.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Not just the once.
Yeah. So maybe we listen to Marvel calls to get some insight into my thoughts on that. Sean,
Okay,
I don't want to spoil it here.
Because obviously, like with a child, you can't be like, but actually, it's it's a comment on like burlesque, stuff, and like the fact that like the whole witch time thing is like it's all about letting people almost touch and then going, no, fuck you. Like, do you know what I mean? You can't explain that to a child, right?
Use that language, no.
Can't explain that to me either. Okay.
So, as someone who's never played Bayonetta, they look like Devil May Cry style games?
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yep, 100%.
I mean, you played them. They're absolutely fantastic. I guarantee you probably own it on the Xbox, Matt.
I don't know. I see a trailer. It looks nice, but there's no interest for me.
The first one,
it's so
the first one doesn't
good.
hold
so
up
good?
anywhere near as well as the second, I would say. And the first one's still really good.
I would still say the first one's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly, Matt, I would give the first one a try. You almost definitely own it on Xbox. So what's the problem? I would give it a definitely. I would give it a definitely.
Give it definitely.
Isn't it a Sega game as well?
First one was, yeah.
It is a Sega game.
Aren't you one of the biggest Sega fans on the face of the planet?
I was at one very specific period of my life.
When
Like the best period of my life, actually, if anything.
Yeah, play it. It's really good. Is that it for the news?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Fucking God, Matt, Sean, let's talk. What you've been playing? Let's talk about Escape Academy, please.
I mean, Matt, do you want to? Because obviously, I've talked about being excited for this for a while and stuff, and I have done escape rooms in real life. I assume you haven't, or have you?
No, never done escape room in real life. And I played this game, and I'm enjoying it. But I know you're super excited about it, so you should absolutely lead on this.
All right, fair enough.
One of you fucking take. Come on,
all right.
No me, no you, no me. Sorry, is it just us two? Has I played it? Have you, Dave and James, not played it?
No.
Okay.
Nah.
Oh man, okay, I'm surprised.
Is it a two-player game?
It is a two-player game.
apparently, right?
Because controversially, it is. Yeah, it's only one or two players.
Right.
And like obviously, the thing with escape rooms in real life is generally you do them as like a larger group. And I'm sorry for repeating myself. I've definitely said this before, but part of the fun of them is that like because you're just in this room with like a dozen different puzzles that need to be solved. Eventually. People's brains work differently, and it's really cool because like usually every person at least gets one moment of like something clicking that didn't for anyone else, right? And that's what makes them interesting to me. So to have an escape room game where it's like only two players, it seems odd, especially when So this game was made by people who used to do like physical, like actual escape rooms, and then pandemic happened, and they sort of looked into doing one virtually, and that's how this came about. And they really make use of that. Like some of the environments are huge. Like one of the early ones you can do is like in this big like courtyard, and there's like statues everywhere, and there's sort of all these other rooms sort of adjacent to it. So it's I don't know. It's not like it was a space concern, or that there's plenty of puzzles to sort of look at any one time. So I don't know if it's just a technical limitation. It doesn't feel like a design limitation. I feel like it would work if it allowed more players, but hey ho, is what it is.
Yeah, it feels like it must be a technical one.
Yeah,
But because when I first saw this, I was like, this looks amazing. Was this announced at, it was during Summer Game Fest, wasn't it? Or at least that's why I saw it. Maybe it was announced previously.
Was it an idea Xbox One? It was one of the Xbox conferences anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a trailer thinking, this looks amazing. A more good 4-player stream. And when it said 2 player, I was like, okay.
It's annoying, isn't it, when they limit the number of players you can play in multiplayer to like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I would say right off the bat is, if you've not been interested in the idea of escape rooms because you don't really like puzzles, James, I don't really like puzzles for puzzles' sake either. Like, there's like so many like mobile games, for example, that are like really good puzzle games but there's no context for them. It's just, well, here's like fucking 200 of them, work your way through them, and you know, that doesn't really interest me. What I like about escape rooms is the fact that there's like a physical context for it, right? And there'll be like loads of different types of puzzles, and some of the, like, you know, and they'll very rarely lean on like established like types of puzzles, right? You won't sort of be playing it and be like, oh, here's like a sliding tile puzzle or whatever. It's all like interesting sort of environmental stuff, and that's why I like them. And this, yeah, as I say, this totally like makes use of that and makes use of the fact that these don't have to exist as physical places. And yeah, it's tough to talk about because obviously every puzzle solution is a spoiler. Like I streamed some of this with Sarah last week, and it was really good fun. But like sort of 20, 30 minutes in, like most people are like, yeah, I'm gonna have to stop watching now because this is just kind of ruining it for me. Like because obviously we're just solving puzzles in front of them. And
I can see that.
And obviously because of the nature of it, it's very much like you will play through the campaign once and then you're kind of done. There's no real reason to sort of replay it or anything.
Well, the only reason to go back is to try and improve your time and get like a better score, right? Because you can go back and replay levels.
Can you even replay them though?
Yeah. If you go to your dorm room, there's that the notice board where you can replay them, and I think there are so that you can throughout each like the escape room locations. There are like ones you can skip entirely, or maybe you work out the result before getting all the components. Yeah. I did that on a couple of them myself. Yeah. So I guess if you want to complete them all, we can go back and do that. I think you can also there's also specific times where you complete each of those kind of sub puzzles or puzzles within it. And so if you want to want to be, I don't know if there's leaderboards, but you can certainly like improve your times and get a better score, I guess, if you want to go back and do it that way.
But then that's not really, I suppose you could do that, but then obviously you're not solving the puzzles the second time through, are you? You're just speed running it.
No, you're just remembering them.
Yeah, so that's...
It would be quite cool to see how quick someone could do this, like have them memorize the entire game.
Yeah, totally.
It would be quite cool.
But yeah, it's really good. Like the controls are a bit funny on a controller, like, you know, played a bit on PC, and like mouse and keyboard's fine, but I don't know, I had to like mess around with the look sensitivity and stuff.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I love this game, but the only issue I found, is how it feels to move around. Yeah. And I also did the same thing. I changed like move sensitivity, or kind of like there's another one you can change as well, because it just felt really. It just felt horrible to play really
twitchy,
I can't quite describe why I didn't quite. It wasn't like his lack of responsiveness. It just, but it felt wrong somehow.
Too responsive. I thought. But
I've tried to move things around and make it feel a little bit better, but that's still the weakest part, which arguably is, I would say, is probably the easiest bit to get right. At least just moving around the environment. Yeah. There's so many bits where I'm like trying to aim a reticule or something. I'm like going left. I'm not left of it. I'm like, I was like the first time I've ever played a game. Because I was, trying to move this one specific reticle to a certain part of this area to select. I was going above it, below it, left to it, right to it.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. But yeah, I just knocked the sensitivity down. That seemed to do the trick. The other thing that, like, I get why they did it, but it's a bit strange. So if you play 2-player, obviously if it's local, it's split screen. However, it is also split screen if you're playing online with someone else, which initially seemed really weird, but is quite handy, because if you're doing a puzzle where like someone's seen like a code for something, right, or like a set of instructions, and you have to use those elsewhere in the room, like if you were doing a real life escape room, you'd have to like call it out, right? You'd be shouting across the room like, right, go up, down, right, left, right, or whatever. Whereas this is like, you can just put it up on the screen for the other person.
Yeah, but isn't that part of the fun?
Kind of.
Like part of the fun is, say, Tango Fiesta or whatever it's called. Not Tango Fiesta. That was Spilt Milk's game, wasn't it?
Operation Tango.
Operation Tango is that you can't see what the other person. So part of the fun is the communication between.
It is,
two,
but this
right?
is like escape rooms are different because you are all in the same room together. Like they're not like something like Operation Tango, as you say, sort of thrives on that. Like you have completely different perspectives on what is going on. Whereas this is like, no, you are all in the same place, looking at the same stuff.
You don't get the whole go up thing. Just keep going.
But yeah, the thing that I don't think many people would have got the go up thing, James. I think it was just me playing with you, mate.
Fair point.
But the thing that bothered me was that in that split screen view, it's like it doesn't adjust the field of view at all, so it feels like you can't see a lot. I don't know if you felt the same, Matt. Just felt a bit cramped. I don't know.
Yeah, so I was playing co-op with Elodie.
Oh, nice.
And so local split screen, and it did feel a little bit cramped. There's lots of bits where if I was trying to look at something on her screen, I'll tell her to like move back. But no, I mean, it felt a bit cramped. It'd be good. I bet on PC you could probably change the field of view as well, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the setting on Xbox, but I didn't see it. But it did feel a little bit cramped. But it was just fun. I haven't played like a local split screen game in about a million years, so it was great for that alone. And also, like I think a few weeks ago, I said I don't have another controller, but actually I realised I do have another controller for Xbox because I still got my previous Xbox One controller.
Oh, yeah.
Because at first I was like, oh no, I think it is co-op, but I don't know what I'm going to do. But then I found another controller. I was like, amazing, we played together on the Xbox, and obviously previously all our multiplayer local games have just been on Switch.
Yeah.
But no, we enjoyed it. We played this for a little bit of Saturday and really enjoyed it.
I mean, there is some good stuff like with the interface and what have you. So like, as you're like picking up items, whether they're like keys or tools, or sometimes there'll be I don't know, like a photograph or a leaflet or a document or something. Like it's when you first start the game, it's like, oh, keep a pen and paper handy, and I was like, oh shit, this might be really hardcore. Maybe it does get harder later on, I don't know. But that inventory, like, it's so easy to call it up, and as I say, if it's like documents or whatever, you can just pin it to your field of view. So if it's got a code or a clue.
But we definitely use pen and paper.
Did you?
Maybe it's because I'm playing with Elodie, who's 8. But like when you get like those first few kind of well, I'm not gonna. But basically, there's a few at the beginning. Like, okay, write these down, and we'll change the order and look at this. So, I mean, particularly me playing with Elodie, I think pen and paper is essential, and it was good to like draw things out and work out kind of codes and the order in which you're seeing things, and write that down now because I think we might use that later. And I'm
like
sure
it does definitely,
you could just pin things.
There was a very good bit in one of the rooms. I think you've probably done it where, without spoiling it, at the end, it then requires you to recall a bunch of stuff that you figured out earlier. And it's just a really funny, like, just sort of pulls the rug out from under you moment. That was really good fun. And did make me wish I'd written stuff down.
That may be further than what I've played. I've only basically got up to the courtyard area.
Oh, right, okay.
So there's probably more. But there's still a bunch where we're like, okay, well, let's write this stuff down. And it was really fun to do that, I think.
I mean, obviously, like, it's a pretty chill game. There are time limits. Obviously, that is the point of an escape room. But there's also a really generous, like, hint system. Although it annoys me a bit because it's literally you press X on your controller and it just brings up the hint straight away. And I've done it by accident a couple of times, and then it's like, oh, well, that goes on your scorecard. Like, you used a hint. You're thick.
I hate that. I hate when it's an option and it punishes you for using it.
I mean, it doesn't punish you really, but I think it goes on like your scorecard or whatever.
How obvious are the hints? Because we never used a hint. Instead, we just like wait for time to run out, and you can like extend it by 5, 10, or I assume more. Yeah, so we never used a hint, but basically when the time runs out, it says continue, and it adds like 10 minutes or 5 minutes to a counter.
Okay,
and then so you have another 10 minutes. So. But how are the hints so obvious that they kind of ruin it, or are they actually well done?
No, they're
enough to jog your memory.
They're pretty good. Yeah, they it's usually just like, have you looked at this thing or whatever? Because that's usually all it is. Like, there's, like, one of the rooms we were, so I was playing it with Nu as well. And like, it was awkward because obviously I'd played the first few rooms, and then I was and then playing it through with Nu. I was like, well, we need to start again because she needs to see the tutorial and stuff. And I was kind of having to just not intervene because obviously I knew everything.
You're trying to pretend you don't know the solutions.
But there was one where like I'd also forgotten there was just like a key in a bag somewhere, and then eventually. I know the one you mean. Yeah, that was that room we extended already. And we're like, what we missing here? And then we found that. And we're like, okay. And then suddenly we did like 4 or 5 of them in a row. But there's some issues with the controls and stuff. But like overall, it's pretty slick. Right. Like, so on Steam there is like Escape Room Simulator, which is really good. But like I found the interface like a bit annoying. Like you can sort of. Like, you can, like, pick up, like, anything, right, and put it in your inventory, and you're constantly like, oh, fuck, well, maybe this is relevant, maybe I should carry that, and then next thing you know, you're carrying, like, 25 items, and they're all bullshit, and it's stuff like that. Whereas with this, it's like, you can only really interact with things that are somehow relevant, which, really streamlines it. Yeah, it is really good fun, and the like I say, the design in the rooms is really interesting and cool. Like the puzzles are really smart, just full of like brilliant little eureka moments. So far, haven't got too stuck on it, and even if I did, that's what the hint system is for. Which and if you've not done escape rooms in real life, that is a thing in real escape rooms as well. Like the entire time you're doing a real life escape room, like there'll be someone like monitoring how you're doing basically, and if they think you're getting stuck and pissed off, there'll be a screen somewhere where they flash up a hint or whatever. So that is a thing. Yeah, like as I say, it would be really nice to be able to play this with more people. But yeah, for what it is, and especially for it being on Game Pass, really, really pleased with it. Really like it.
Yeah, I love how it looks, and there is like a story in between the levels or in between the escape rooms that you do, which is kind of told through just like text on the screen with I think maybe like the first like word or the first line spoken, or
it's one of those. Isn't
maybe
it?
I'm misremembering, but there's a little bit of dialogue. There's like a nice kind of like illustrations of the characters that kind of draws you along, and there's like a map of areas you can go to, which I think is really fun. I've done the courtyard. There's like a water level which kind of had not stumped, where we're like, okay, we need to kind of have a stop and think about how we're going to do this. But all the ones I've done so far have been great, and it's just been fun to get the pen and paper out and try and note things down.
So you'd say it's all right for an 8-year-old. Like there's enough there for Elodie
massively.
to get involved with it,
Harry will be much more adept at this than Elodie, because Elodie's just mostly played things like The Sims or Animal Crossing or Bowser's Fury and stuff. So me and Eddie had an absolute blast up playing this, and we got a little bit stuck on the courtyard area and then stopped for the day. But it's great fun. Great fun.
Definitely.
It looks good as well. Also, Sean, and this might be like a minor spoiler, I'm not sure, but are there kind of like environmental puzzles as well? Because when I got to like courtyard area, I was like, hang on, this feels a bit like The Witness.
Yes,
but does it not go that far?
There's totally like environmental stuff.
Oh, awesome. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. No, it's really good, and in fact, on Game Pass, it's I think it's a no-brainer to give it a go. And I mean, I was meaning to find a time to play a single player, because I've heard that actually that's decent. You can play on your own. Like I've seen a lot of people or some people in the Discord saying, I really want someone to play with, but I reckon this will be easily good enough to play on your own. I think it does. It gives you everything you need to do to play on your own. You don't need a second person to enjoy it. So
totally.
If you're on the fence and listen to this and thinking, well, I haven't got anyone else to play with, I reckon give it a go on your own. You'll probably have a great time.
Yeah, I mean, realistically,
I'm going to play this with Harry, I think.
Yeah, man, you should. I was going to say, realistically, like, yes, obviously I did the stream with Sarah. I've played like a bit of it with New, but obviously, free time for us to sit and play games together is pretty rare, so I will probably crack on with it on my own, to be honest.
Do you know what I played with Harry and Charlie this week? The Game of Life.
It's a great game.
I played the Game of Life. It's really fun. Charlie was lagging behind, and he just kept going, I want to get married over again. And he was a YouTuber. He was a YouTuber. They've added I don't know why we're talking about this. I'm so sorry, but they've tried to modernise it, but in the most cringe-worthy way, where like every job is like influencer, Instagram star, all this sort of stuff, and it's like, okay, all right.
Do you know what's amazing is when you said you were playing it, and then you mentioned the YouTube thing. I realised that in my head I was literally imagining you playing like the 1990 version. Oh, well, they won't have changed it since then, so why would it be any different?
That's what I thought. And I thought, they have updated it. And it's like, what was it? One of the cards was, you won an esports competition. All right, okay. We get it, you've modernised it a bit, but come on, every fucking time. Right, sorry. Yeah, Escape Academy. And that's on
Game Pass.
Game Pass, a console and for PC.
And it's got full cross-play as well, I believe. Which is nice. So yeah,
that's
good. Have a look.
I will check that out. Check that out. Matt, you've got Final Fantasy down. Do you really want to talk about it?
I'm still playing, still loving it. I'm up to Cosmo Canyon now, for anyone listening who's I think I'm still on the first disc.
Can you verify that, James? Can you verify that, please, James?
My Switch is not near me, so I can't.
Can you verify that claim? Okay, all right.
I think my clock still says 20 or maybe 25 now, but yeah. I think I've ticked over. I think I'm like 21 and a bit on the in-game clock, but still loving it. I was intending to play loads last week, but I just didn't really find the time. But still massively enjoying it. And I can't get to a single scene where I'm like, oh man, I wonder what this looks like a remake. I wonder what this, how they're going to change it. And again, I've been played the remake one. I haven't played Rebirth and the future ones, obviously. But I'm like, oh, what are they going to do in the future? How good is this going to look? So I'm loving it just for the game itself and just for what it could look like and how it could be in the future. So still sticking with it. It's not going to be a quick game. I think at one point, once I got to Midgard, because I've only played the remake, which is only Midgard, I'm like, well, I wonder how far I'm really into it. I feel like I was getting through at a pretty good pace. But no, obviously it's a massive game and I it's going to take me a long old time to play it. But I'm still absolutely loving it. I'm not going to talk about it every week, but yeah, I'll give a little update of where I am, and they're currently at Cosmo Canyon.
Okay, there we go. Is it Cosmo Canyon? Everyone calm down. I've completed Neon White now.
Oh, nice.
And I've gone back and aced every single level.
Every fucking hell, okay.
Yeah, every level I've got an ace on. A few of them I've got a red badge on, which is when you beat the developer's time.
Nice.
Wow.
Yes, I did that on a few levels.
Oh, and so there's one above ace.
Yes.
Right,
yeah,
okay, well.
but it's really they're insanely hard to get. Like, they're so hard to get. But I tell you what, that does give you. Look, I'm not the best. My friends will tell you this. I'm not the best at first-person shooter games, right? So it does sort of give you an indication that actually, if you want to go and ace this game, like every single level, it's very doable. Like, it is very doable. There's some of the later levels, you're sitting there and you're going, oh, that wasn't too good. And it come up with an ace at the end of it. And I was like, oh, right, okay, all right, cool. So I don't have to go back and do that one. But it's brilliant from start to finish. Even the levels that, there are a couple levels in it which are like 5 minutes long, which is intense. It's intense when they're like 20 seconds long, but 5 minutes of trying not to fuck up, like one little foot wrong and you're fucked. So doing that has been brilliant. And then I've been going back and getting the gifts in all of them because the gifts unlock further missions. But the only problem that I've found is that those missions that they unlock are clearly supposed to be really hard. But once you've completed the game, they're actually pretty simple. So I'm sort of blasting through the side missions pretty quickly.
What did you think of the story, Dave? Did you?
I think I've just fast forwarded a lot. I didn't see any of it. I mean, it's funny because there's clearly some interesting stuff in there, and the way they deal with certain character deaths and how that blends into the story and stuff, that seemed pretty cool. There's certainly some of the story is put into the game, the levels that you're playing, which is really interesting. But I just it was too much waffle, like way too much waffle. And what's funny, and I think we said this a couple of weeks ago actually, what's funny is that when you play this game and you decide, that's it, I'm done, I don't want to listen to this story anymore, I just want to get to the levels, you press like the fast forward button and it goes on for so long, some of that dialogue, that you go, I have 100% made the right decision here. 100% made the right decision, which is a shame because I think the setting's really interesting. I think the characters are really interesting. The whole idea behind the game is really cool, and where it seems to go seems really cool as well. But it's just too much dialogue. Like, it's just too much. So yeah, tapped out of that pretty quickly, James. Pretty quickly. But I fully recommend playing through it because it's just fantastic. And the last batch of levels, what it does to change things up a little bit is so good, and it makes you feel so powerful. It's just brilliant.
Do they get too hard though, or are they still at a good level where
not
you
really.
feel okay?
It gets harder for sure, especially the 5 minute levels. Like, they are tough, but not too hard. I mean, I've aced them all. That's all you need to know. Like, you can do this easily. It's certainly no harder than, say, Celeste. If you just want to get to the end of the game, then it's not even close to being as hard as something like Celeste.
Okay.
If you want to ace everything, again, I would say Celeste beating that was harder.
Mm-hmm.
I just really, really enjoyed it. And the only bad thing about the later levels is that they're so huge in scope that the Switch does start to struggle with them. Drop frame rates and stuff like that. And didn't make it unplayable, but it's just very noticeable.
Is this coming to anything else apart from PC?
It must do. I've got a feeling it will come to Xbox.
It would be
at some
awesome
point.
to see how good it looks on Xbox or PlayStation 5.
Well, I mean, I've seen high def videos taken from the PC,
yeah.
and it looks way better. It looks ridiculous. And I'll tell you what, if this comes out on Xbox or PlayStation, I'm playing through it again. I'm going to do the whole thing again because
really,
it's just such an enjoyable game to play. Like the movement, the stuff it asks you to do, it's just constantly entertaining. So, really high praise for that one, I think.
I was loving it, and then I just stopped playing, and I just kind of thought, I don't know if I need to go back to that. I saw everyone kind of beating their times, and I'm like, I'm not into that lifestyle. I know I can get through it without having to. I don't want to do like speed running.
He's not about
stuff.
that life.
I'm not about life. And I've seen like people, play.
You like Trackmania? It's no different to Trackmania.
Yeah, but Trackmania is like, car driving, car racing. It's
yeah, that's right.
Yes,
it is. Yeah,
correct.
It's car racing.
So yeah, I love it for that. I don't know. As much as I was enjoying it, when I put it down, I'm like, I don't know if I need to go back to that. But you think it is worth doing?
Play through it. It's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. And there's so many secrets and like hidden stuff. And when you work out on your own a shortcut, like you'll look at something and go, hold on, I'm going all the way to this part of the map to kill one enemy and come back again. Surely there's a way of doing this so that I can shoot that enemy from the other side of the map and just carry along, this path and cut out like 20 seconds of my time. And then when it clicks and you go, I can absolutely do that. Fucking hell, this is amazing.
It's because, it's like you can, that the act of like improving your times through that stuff is, to me, like way more interesting than just nailing the input. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you get to that level where it's like, well, I probably could shave like half a second off this if I was slightly less shit. That's when I'm like, right, time to move on. But that that process of, as you say, either figuring out the shortcuts or like it's always like a logistical problem more than a what's the term I'm after? Like a practical one, right? Like it's not necessarily about how good you are, it's how you're looking at the levels and the abilities available to you, the enemies you need to kill, and sort of assessing that in like an interesting way, rather than just being like practice. Like it's not really that sort of game. Well, it could be if you wanted to.
It also suffers out with that problem with the gifts because there's two types of gifts to collect in this, right? I mean, there's loads of different types, but there's two ways that they approach it. One, it shows you where they are really clearly, and you've got to work out how to get there. They're brilliant. The other is that they hide them somewhere in the map, and they're fucking terrible because you're like, just show me. I'll just go to a video and watch where they are. Because what's the point?
All the presents. I mean, I'm still very early on in the game. Yeah, all the presents I've found have been like somewhere really high up or whatever, but they've always been fairly obvious. It's just figuring out how to get to them. Whereas, and
then with that one, you go, oh, I don't need because I'm not getting to the end of the level. I don't need to kill everything.
Yes.
So how can I hoard cards to make myself like propel up to that point there? And when it's like a little puzzle. You work out and you're like, yes, brilliant. But when it's like you won't be able to find it. It's like in another building hidden. You're like, well, I don't care. Just tell me where it is and I'll do it and then move on. But other than that, that's the only real negative about the game. It's absolutely stunning. I come out of nowhere and it's an absolute banger.
Obviously, you mentioned Celeste and. Like when Celeste was huge, like I was rolling my eyes at people, people sort of say it as if it's a criticism and like, oh, it's like a really hard platformer for people who don't really like really hard platformers, or like,
is that what people say?
Yeah, or like Forza Horizon. Oh, it's a driving game for people who don't really like driving games. Like I think that's like the highest compliment you can give a game, right? Like, and Neon White is a speedrunning game for people who don't really like speedrunning, like.
Yeah, it gives you that taste of what speedrunners go through. How do I shave off time? How can I find a shortcut without having to get frame perfect maneuvers in place? It's wonderful. Like I play Neon White, it's absolutely brilliant. I don't think enough people have played it because I'm getting scores that are still in the top 1,000, and that scares me because I shouldn't be. I also played Road 96. I've done a couple of streams on this. I'm like 2 hours into this. You played this a bit, Sean.
I did. I did like 2 runs on it, I think. I should have played more. Like it was clearly good. It was just I think it came out at a bad time because other things.
Well, also you played it on Switch, which apparently was a technical nightmare. Right?
No, I played it on PC, I think, but it still has technical issues. I think it's close to release. Okay. So maybe
does anyone know if the Switch version's been fixed yet, or is it just broken?
No
generally?
idea, to be honest.
Why is that?
I'm just curious.
It's on Game Pass, you know that.
Yeah, I know, but I often like to play stuff on Switch because I'm not.
Because he's fucking wadded, mate. You don't give a fuck.
No, it's because if I mostly play stuff like on the way to work on the train or whatever, and it's I can't do that on Xbox, can I?
Okay. I don't know, but it plays really well on the Xbox now. I've been enjoying it, and we've done a couple of streams on it, and it's ridiculous. I mean, the characters are so overblown. There's such cartoons, and everyone's a fucking arsehole in it, and it's ridiculous. Well, yeah, they are. But I'm still really enjoying it. Like the little mini game stuff is enough to break up some of the conversations. The setting's quite interesting. I don't know where it's going, which is really important. I love the fact that you essentially, what happens if you've not heard of Road 96 is that you play various different missing people and you're heading to the border to try and escape the country, which is going through a bit of a political nightmare at the moment. And along the way, you meet various different characters, and the various different missing people that you play as, they meet characters that other people would have met. There's some cross-pollination of characters in your travels towards the border and stuff. So, so far I've done 2 runs with 2 different characters, and it's been really interesting. I escaped with one, and the other one got arrested. So, and there's a strong implication that maybe escaping the country isn't the way to go about things.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because so basically, I think the first run you basically guaranteed to get out. I assume that's what happened to you,
right?
And it just
it made me feel like shit. Yeah,
and it makes the point that it's you got out, but the fate of the country is still a bad one. And I think the implication is that through multiple playthroughs you can actually fix things somehow. But
I'll tell you this, it's a bit of a spoiler, but this made me laugh. So I made a really good point on my stream the other night, right? So on my second one, the one where I got caught, I broke into a truck that was crossing the border, and the first test they put a dog in there, right? And the dog started barking at me, but I managed to get under a hatch to get underneath it, right? The second test was a movement test, right? And they scanned the truck for movement. So I just put the controller down, didn't move at all, and the scan didn't pick me up. Perfect, right? The third test, they said, this is a breathing test, so we can sense breath in your thing. And you held your breath, but I couldn't hold my breath for long enough because I didn't have enough health by the end of it. So I got caught out, and the guy said, "This is 100%, way to catch people. This will 100% find anyone that's hiding in your lorry." And someone said, "Why didn't they start with that one then? What was the point in the first 2 tests? Why did they wait? Why did it get more and more
if you
intense?
had that device, you'd be like, oh, well, we don't need the dogs anymore then."
Yeah, use that straight away. But it's nonsense like that, but it's still been quite enjoyable. I'm interested to see where it goes. So that was Road 96. That's out on Game Pass at the moment. James, you've got a couple of games written down here for some reason. I mean, we've had this discussion today about how you keep putting off playing Elden Ring, and I'm seeing what games you've got for us this week, and I'm thinking, why are you not playing Elden Ring? Go on.
Well, okay. So so I wanted to play this week. I'm planning to play Stray, when it comes out, and the reviews have just dropped, and it looks really good.
It's going to be games. Actually, we've also got As Dusk Falls.
Yeah,
we've got a couple of games.
A whole bunch of things.
I think it's Hot Wheels DLC for Forza Horizon 5 as well.
Shit! What a week!
Shit! Is that this week? Fuck,
what a week!
Get that, Okay.
So I didn't want to start Elden Ring because there's other stuff coming out. So I wanted to.
I know, but this has been months now. You've been putting it off.
I know. It's
not
just I keep putting it off. I know. It's just, and it is because I just feel intimidated by it, honestly. And it's not. I don't mean intimidated by it in the sense that it's too hard or whatever like that. I just mean that it's like 120 hours or whatever, and you just think that's a lot of time. And I know that everyone's like, "Oh, the time flies by. It's amazing. It's the best game ever."
Does
and all that kind of
fly,
thing.
yeah.
No,
But it's still just.
No, I fully get what you're saying, but also, yeah, like I was exactly the same, and then I started it, and then did not stop for a long time.
Well, this is it. So, like, I've stopped playing it, and I don't know if I'll go back to it. But I played it for about 30 to 40 hours, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
That was 30 to 40 hours of amazing.
But the thing is, and I know this is the exact sort of thing that I hate it when other people do it. But when you saying that, I'm like, oh, but that means you've not seen like this list of things.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know.
Yeah.
I know. I've not seen that stuff.
Yeah, I played for 20 to 30 hours, and I feel the same as you, James. I'm like, I know I need to go back to it. I want to go back to it. I want to get it finished, really. But I'm intimidated or overwhelmed. I mean, there's other games to play, but I'm like, I've got to start it sooner or later. I can't be like October saying, here we go, Matt, I've got 90 hours of a game I need to get done in 2 months.
You did start this, James, right? You started this because you did a stream on it.
I did, but I only played it for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours or so. Like, not, and I'm going to start again anyway, like from the beginning, I think, because I don't,
From the...
I mean, the thing is, yeah, so if you would start it again, or even if you were just picking up your previous save, like, obviously there's so much information and help out there now. I mean, there was quite a bit at release. Like, we talked about Vati Viji's one that's like how to get overpowered in like 3 hours or whatever. Like, just do that stuff, man. Like, don't feel bad about gaming it a bit, like, because it is,
Yeah, I was doing that and I was loving it.
Yeah, like, people saying, oh, it's the most like, accessible Souls game yet. Like, yeah, it's not easy though, and because there is so much of it, like, absolutely allow yourself like help and shortcuts, etc.
Yeah, because I want to see all the cool stuff, and it's like,
and you will.
I mean, you see the cool stuff from the moment you get into that world.
Exactly.
It's just there's just cool stuff everywhere. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's not like but if you just use a guide, you'll miss things. Like, nah, like the most like amazing stuff is all on like the critical path, or, as far as I've seen anyway.
Yeah. But also when you just take time out to just go, what's over there?
Yeah.
And then you go there and it's something amazing. You go, wow, okay. Okay, that's over there now. I'll never forget the first time I saw the ghost in a boat. Like, that was just that creased me up. It just cracked me up.
It absolutely freaked me out. And then, 30 hours later, I went back and killed it in like 5 hits. Yeah.
Oh, really? I mean, the ghost in the canoe thing? Yeah, I know. I did him quite early on, I think.
No, I was too scared and ran away.
Oh, really? Oh, right. Okay, for sure.
Of course.
Okay, yeah, he's not too hard. But no, James, you've got Resident Evil 2 and 3 in front of me.
Because I wanted to play some like shortish games, just to like backlog stuff that I've had for ages, and there was updates for these recently to make them, like the PS5 and Series X versions and stuff. And Matt, did you nominate Resident Evil 2 for Game of the Year one year? I can't remember.
The remake,
I think I did, yeah.
Because if you did, I really wish that I'd played it before then, because I would have been fighting for that, because it is so good. It's really, really good, like Resident Evil 2. It's
amazing.
I mean, they basically perfected the game. Like, they took out all the irritation of the puzzles, from the original release and stuff. They made the combat really good, and it's just... It's so fun. I just kept playing it over and over again. I played it until like late in the night and all that kind of stuff, and I just had such a great time with it. And then I went straight from that into playing Resident Evil 3 and finished that this evening, actually.
Oh, wow.
Because that's much shorter. It's like much shorter than Resident Evil 2, and it's much more combat focused, and it's very linear as well. And I mean,
which one's the Mr. X one?
That's Resident Evil 2. Yeah,
it's Nemesis and 3.
Yeah.
Oh God! If you get the chance, I will say, track down Matt's video. The highlights video of Matt playing Resident Evil is so good.
I know,
it's so funny,
and I could totally believe that as well. Like because that's the thing with this is like the it's terrifying, like in many places, because that when he comes smashing through like walls and stuff like that, it's awful, but in like the best possible way. I mean, the atmosphere and the pacing of the second game is significantly better than the third, but it's still they're just really really good games, and I would recommend like going back to them.
Because
like absolutely,
how does it work? Because I know obviously Nemesis, like in the original, obviously it was every encounter with him was scripted. Is it not in the remake, or is it? Is it still scripted, or does he just kind of do his own thing, like Mr. X?
It certainly seems scripted. Okay. Like, as in, it's like after certain things happen, it's like, oh, here he is again.
Yeah, he definitely goes away for certain points to allow you to do certain puzzles and whatnot. Yeah, I've just checked. Yeah, I did nominate in 2019.
Damn.
Yeah, I wish I played it before.
God, was it that long ago?
I just checked our Instagram.
Oh, right. Oh, obviously, yeah, we did a graphic. Okay.
But it's just it's so well put together and just like so, as I said, so well paced and it's just really good.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like so modern. It's got so many modern sensibilities while still basically celebrating what made it amazing. And it's an incredible mix of both. I guess like the old school gameplay, but with loads of lovely quality of life improvements and like the stuff on the map where you go, like you can look at the map and say, okay, this room is either cleared of stuff or I've been in there, but there's still some stuff I haven't collected. That's just so simple, but it works so well.
And it's also just like the puzzles aren't bullshit, like as they were in the second, like the original release. Where it was like it was really cryptic and really ridiculous, and like in this, it's like everything just makes complete sense.
I don't know. I think that desk one at the beginning is quite difficult actually. Like,
you mean with the codes, like to get into it?
With the names? I think I put Leon SK. I was like, no, Matt. Read the fucking files, you idiot, or read the names on them. Anyway.
I mean, David, have you ever played any of these, like at all?
Yeah, I played Resident Evil 1, and I played Resident Evil 4.
Okay, because you should really play 2, because it is really good.
Oh, I've got no interest in any of that.
Why
honestly.
Though? It's brilliant. It's so good.
I'm just not into horror games, mate.
But it's not really a horror game. I mean, it is, but
You've
it's
just
like...
said how scary it is seven times in this.
I know,
why are
but
you trying to do this to me?
Because it's an action game, though. It's not like it's not like PT or something like that.
I mean...
Okay, isn't there a massive tarantula in the sewer?
No. Not in the second one, there isn't.
I read there was.
I mean, yeah, you're saying it's not that scary. I once again invite you to watch Matt's streams. And that's not even a dig at Matt. That's just 100%. That is what I would be like playing this.
It was
that's not the game. That's me. That's mostly me.
Well, anyway, everyone should play it.
It's still good fun.
Great game. It's too scary for me, James.
I mean, the third one was okay. I mean, I'm glad I played it. It was, in some aspects, it was more the same, but it was just nowhere near as good. And pacing and
it was too linear. That was the problem with it. It's like you really are just going from area to area, like solving really simple puzzles. And as I said, the combat, it's far like more sort of combat heavy. And there is one bit which is really irritating, where there's one enemy that could just kill you with one hit, and it's like, and it seems completely random when it happens, and it's just like, oh, that's really irritating.
Did you play the original Resident Evil 3, James?
Yes, I did. Like a very long time ago on PlayStation.
I didn't at the time, and there were people saying that this has cut out two kind of major parts that weren't in that, and they were like disappointed that they weren't in this.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't remember because I played it in like the
might be a clock
late
tower.
90s.
I'm not sure, but yeah.
I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the games we nominated that year.
Yeah.
So Matt had Resident Evil 2, Gears 5, which is an interesting one, Plague Tale Innocence, something like that, and Outer Wilds, right?
Yeah.
Then Sean had Disco Elysium, of course. What? Sayonara Wild Hearts, Grease, and Heave Ho. Can you remember yours, James?
No, I can't. I can't remember what they were.
Hold on. That's not right. James's picks. Here we go. Oh, those are wild cards I was looking at. Life is Strange 2 you picked.
Mm-hmm.
It was you that picked. I thought I'd pick that.
Yeah, no.
Ape Out, Judgment, and The Walking Dead, the final season.
Yeah, that was.
And then mine are weird. Like, I wouldn't associate these games with me. Luigi's Mansion 3, Untitled Goose Game, Tetris 99, and Super Mario Maker 2.
What are you on about?
It seems like a little bit family friendly.
That's really David Turner's, yeah.
Is it? I thought there's not enough killing.
Well, you were a gentler soul in 2019, and weren't we all? When you think about it,
before the pandemic,
exactly.
Yeah.
How did Outer Wilds not win?
How did Disco Elysium not win?
Or Disco Elysium?
Unbelievable.
Life is Strange too.
Actually, looking back on it, Disco Elysium should have won that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just.
I mean, I think we said when we played it, like in was it March the next year or something? We played it, and I was like, oh no, I get it now.
Yeah, I think that's what the argument that Sean and I were making. It's like, if you had played this, you would definitely be voting for this right now.
Well, this is the way it goes, though, isn't it? It's the way it goes.
Maybe there's
the
a
way
lesson
it goes.
in that for future years.
Good
80
point,
hours,
Sean.
though. But no, how long was it? It was like 40 odd hours.
Just go easy.
wasn't it?
It's
I can't believe I made it.
Stretches
Worth it, though.
depending on how much side stuff you do, doesn't it? But
Yeah. Okay, all right, we done.
Yeah.
Let's get to questions, man. Fucking hell, 2 hours of this shit, and I'm knackered.
I'm all right now. I've got my second wind.
Shit.
I mean, I say my second wind. I don't know when my first wind was. Phil, maybe I'm
I
just.
had no wind. I've had zero wind.
One wind.
I've actually had quite a lot of wind tonight. It's not muted.
I could do with a bit of a breeze, to be honest with you, because fucking hell.
It is quite
my
warm.
room is now 36 degrees.
It's quite warm tonight.
Oh, bummer.
If you want to contact us, go to tcgs.co/
8 degrees in James's room.
TCGS.
17, actually.
Fuck off.
You're hard.
The Poindexter says, all right, lovely voices on the internet. Have you lads played Poinpy yet? It's a new app game by the creator of Downwell and can be played via the Netflix app. You're a small green fella and you must flee upwards from a giant blue monster. You keep the monster at bay by ricocheting off walls, collecting fruit and brewing it tasty juice. One of the best mobile games I've played, and I dare rank it above Elden Ring on my Game of the Year list. Sorry, FromSoft, try harder. I have actually played a ton of this, but I'm very close to...
Was this a fucking advert?
Just a sincere recommendation. I'm very close to finishing it, and I was like, oh no, I should really finish it before I talk about it. Because apparently the ending's fucking nuts as well. But yeah, I do really like it. It's if you've got Netflix, it's
I haven't downloaded or played any of the Netflix free games.
Oh,
so
mate.
are they within the app or no? I think on iOS they're just in the App Store, aren't they? But you log in with Netflix.
It's same on Android. Yeah, so you basically you load up the Netflix app. There's a little game section, and then once you click on a game, it's like here it is in the Google Play Store. But then once you open the app, you have to log in with your Netflix account. So I literally just repeated what you just said.
I heard some people talk about this game whenever it came out, weeks or whatever it was ago, and everyone's like Poinpy, but I was never looked into it. But it does. I've just watched trailer. It does look really nice.
It's really good, really good. Just really interesting.
I don't know if I have time for anything
mechanic.
right now, but it does look good.
It's really cool.
I cancelled Netflix.
Yeah, well,
a lot of people are doing that, but
I started taking a piss.
I'm glad I didn't. You got Stranger Things season 4 was incredible. Glad I watched that.
14 quid though, and it's like 14 quid.
Why are you spending that much?
If you want the 4K one, yeah.
Oh, what's the cheap one then?
Mine's like £7, I think.
Yeah, I know. Is it different in Germany? Is it?
No, I'm still using the UK account, so it's like I just had the single screen one. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I was very close to cancelling it. Now,
not made of money.
Stranger Things kind of redeemed it for me, but I should probably stop that. But anyway, this game looks good.
Really good. Play Wonder Put Forever as well, Matt. Really good.
Oh yes, of course.
MD Krabuffs says, "What is your favourite ice lolly or individual serving ice cream? And have you ever done anything unusual with an ice cube?"
Hello, MD Krabuffs got a massive story about that. They're desperate to tell. You can tell that.
Yeah, I've done something very unusual with an ice cube.
Is it family friendly or?
Absolutely not.
Ooh.
What's your favourite ice lolly or individual serving? Why is individual serving ice cream? What does that mean?
I think that means like one scoop of an ice cream flavour potentially.
Chocolate.
Yeah, we've done the ice cream flavoured question before, haven't we? But if we're including ice lollies, I mean, I'm big into Soleros at the moment.
Oh, Solero's a very big
Solero guy.
Yeah. I never thought I'd be into them, but I fucking love a Magnum these days.
I was going to say Magnum. Yeah. I love a Magnum. It's like
wrong with the Magnum.
I mean, I have one, but for me, it's Maxibon all day long. If you can still find them, which not easy to find.
You can still find them.
You can still find them, but if you can't, then
the Witch. What is it? The fucking Ben and Jerry's one's pretty good. They've got like their
as in like the sandwich.
Yeah, that's nice.
I just love an ice cream sandwich.
Do you know what I fucking hated when I was a kid? And you go, do you want a choc ice?
Oh,
they were never good.
They were gross, weren't they?
I didn't mind the cheap ones. I didn't mind the cheap ones. There's a certain
little paper thing.
Yeah, the little paper packets.
Little paper packets.
I love them.
the fucking chocolate was so thin that it would crumble
It's like,
before you
not
just
even,
unwrap it.
like, why even bother putting the chocolate on it? It was like...
Yeah, the ice cream wasn't vanilla, it was just blocks of ice. Like, it was like, you know that ice cream where it, like, melts and then goes hard again? So when it is literally, like, just shards of ice.
Yeah,
in the middle of it.
That's what's so frustrating about Choc Ice is that there's nothing wrong with the concept. It was just for whatever reason we all grew up on the shittest possible version of that idea. Like,
they were cheap, weren't they? It's like the cheapest possible things.
Magnums are Choc Ices on a stick, and they're incredible, right? But because they use good chocolate and good quality ice cream, whereas Choc Ices was disgusting. But then, do you know what I did like?
They weren't disgusting. Like, take that back.
They were fucking disgusting.
I know I wasn't eating the greatest ice cream of all time or the greatest chocolate, but there was like a certain charm of. I mean, when I hear Choc Ice, it just reminds me of like watching a movie at Laburnum Grove, my junior school, where they give out Choc Ices.
I was going to say, like,
during the movie, and I was like, man,
Matt, you grew up by the seaside. Surely you had your pick of decent ice cream.
Yeah.
Well, of course it did, but like, you know, in Laburnum Grove, it wasn't very well funded, and I just remember getting a cheap Choc Ices, watching a movie at junior school, and I was like, this is all right.
Didn't you just open those and just be like, what is the point of this?
Yeah, what is the fucking point?
I was
waste of everyone's time.
Simple life, James. I was happy with that.
Have you seen?
I wasn't like chocolate shit.
All seen
those. You know, when your friends had Choc Ices, they sucked. But when they had those big boxes of those really long ice pop things in the plastic wrapping, the see-through plastic wrapping, everyone went straight for the blue ones.
Yeah,
straight for the blue ones. When you make
telling
them,
me
it was like,
the quality of those are better than a cheap Choc Ice? Because
but they taste better.
They're the same.
Definitely taste better.
Yeah, 100%.
Not the red one though. The red one wasn't
different frozen treats, different needs. I think
if we were to do a poll between Choc Ice or those pops, the pops would win.
Probably. But if I had the option, I'll go Choc Ice all day long.
Weird.
Right, okay, well, you're a minority.
I assume you've all seen Alan Partridge's Scissored Isles.
I have seen that, yes.
Yeah, is that the way he goes, Choc Ice?
No, he just... No,
or is that Ian Lee that used to do that? Someone used to do that.
I don't think that's Alan Partridge.
There's
a bit where he clearly... Like, he's going to the hospital for some test results, basically, and then he presumably it's good news because he bounds back to the car, opens the door, and obviously the film crew's in the car, right? Opens the door, and he's just straight away, who wants a Choc Ice? And he's just throwing Choc Ices, and it's just doesn't make where has he even got on? Doesn't make any sense.
Of how good they are.
Yeah, it's great. It's a good bit. So that's my go-to thing whenever I receive good news. Who wants a Choc Ice?
Just to clarify, Maxibon,
yes,
all day long.
Yeah.
No.
In terms of Ice Cube stuff, James, you must have loads of stories about this.
Strangely, no, I don't.
What?
Although I did get annoyed with Rachel yesterday because she had all the ice cubes without asking.
What did she do with them?
A bit annoying. No, she just I came in and I was like, I really fancy a cold drink.
Oh, I see.
I went in there and she'd emptied the entire tray for herself. And I was
but what did she?
How many were in a tray? 24.
I don't know. She took them all in a glass and then just used all of them.
It's quite funny.
I was like, you could have asked. I
remember thinking, I've never hated myself more than when I argued with Jo when she brought home reusable ice cubes. It really pissed me off. The reusable ice cubes. You've not seen them?
I don't know what that means.
They're like these little plastic square things with some sort of liquid in them, and you put them in the freezer, and then you pop in your drink, and they don't melt. Well, the inside bit melts, but it doesn't go anywhere. And then once you finish, you wash them, and then you put them back in the freezer.
It's on the one hand, I get it because obviously, real ice cubes will dilute your drink as you are drinking it, which may be an issue, especially if it's something like you're drinking a small measure of it or whatever. Like having a big block of ice and it can really fuck it. But I mean, I drink fizzy pop; it's not really a problem.
But I'm sitting there, I'm going, Joe, for starters, we don't know what's in them.
There is that,
right? We do not know what's in them. I don't like having these blue because they floated on the top as well,
right.
So they were just bobbling around on the top of the drink. They didn't really work. I fucking hated them. I hated them. But while I was complaining about them, I was thinking, shut up, you dickhead. Just put one in your drink and shut the fuck up. So that was something I had to battle with.
I know
recently.
what you mean, but also you are right. If it's a little plastic cube, and if it's being frozen and then thawed repeatedly, then eventually like a seam is going to reveal itself, isn't it? Like,
Also, though, does it still do the cracking noise as well? Because that's the best thing about putting ice
that
cubes
is
in.
the best thing, isn't it?
Right.
No, it didn't do the cracking noise. You're absolutely right, James.
I'll take it back.
Didn't do
Bullshit.
that. Anyway, we got rid of them.
Instant bin.
One time when I was working in a restaurant, and it was about this temperature, actually. It was really...
You put an ice cube in your bum.
Stuck an ice cube.
Not up the
Right,
bum.
I was
gonna say.
So I was in the
High five,
pot
brother.
wash, and there was like one of those big ice cube machines, and yeah, it's really fucking
bum.
hot. So I took an ice cube out, put it up my bum. No, not really. No, I just kind of like just sort of ran it across my forehead. I was like, oh man, that feels really good. And then I heard the boss like opening the door, and I just chucked the ice cube back in the machine. So that eventually, that is.
I would have rather you put it in your bum, Sean.
I mean, it's kind of depressing that after like 10 plus years in catering, that's probably like my only story about doing something slightly gross.
Yeah, but that's
the
fucking
worst
rough.
thing you did.
Slightly rough. Someone's had a frozen Sean sweat in their...
In their Pepsi Max.
They should have used the reusable ice cubes.
That's
then
true,
they would
yeah.
have had that problem.
But no crackling.
No crackling.
No, sorry about the crackling.
No crackling,
Right,
but
next.
sweat.
Come on, there's only one more to do and we're nearly done with
I
Sony.
need to hear more ice cubes in the bum stories,
I
frankly.
don't need the ice cube in the bum story.
It is hot out, Dave.
Would that even help?
Go on. Nah.
Let's try it now.
It's one way to find out, isn't it?
You said in the news story warning women not to put ice lollies up there.
What?
What?
Did you not see that?
See,
No,
I
that
saw a
wasn't targeted
variation
to
of
me.
one of those, which was you're not supposed to put them out your bum.
Right, okay, but
Same
this one
logic
is
applies.
not. This one was
Oh.
specifically.
I mean,
I haven't
who's...
seen that.
Catherine Boyle
fair
tweeted
enough.
it.
Oh, no, I did see that, yes. And I think I joked in my WhatsApp group about loving maxi bonds. Let's move on.
I'd really like it if someone, because like loads of people who've lived abroad are like, here's how I dealt with hot weather Britain. And there's like,
Ask
I was going to say, like, I'd love it if someone did one of those where it's like a massive
Move to
list of really
Germany.
like useful, sincere advice, and the last one's just like, also, ice cube up the bum.
Yeah, most effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually disregard the rest of the list if you just do this one. Doctors hate this one weird tip.
Either that or ice cube across the forehead and chuck it back in the
Yes.
ice machine.
Maria Mendieta says, "Dear TCGS choreographers and videographers, after enjoying Sean's truly sick drone shots, their words, not mine, in the TCGS Con video, I tried and failed to fly one in Drone Simulator on Steam. With critics often complaining about games being hard to control, which ones do you genuinely find unwieldy? Isometric games contain beautiful little worlds, but Snake Rattle and Roll challenges my motor skills to no end."
Can we talk about that?
Yes.
The drone
drone
stuff.
Yeah.
Because I felt for you in a big way that day, because you were really excited about doing this drone thing on the roof, right? And you knew that you were good enough to do it, and you knew that there was nothing to worry about. But at the same time, we were on a roof, and you were just about to fly your drone off it. And there's part of you
At a
thinking,
police
Well, this is
station.
it. Yeah, it was the police station over the road.
You could see there was part of you going, I know that theoretically everything is lined up and it'll all be fine. But there's that thing about flying it off of a building that I am still not 100% sure about.
Yeah, just flying it off the edge of that building, just instantly felt properly sick.
I bet. I mean, it's not my machine. I was like, this thing's just going to fly off 30 feet and come back, is it?
This is,
So it was one of these. It was one of these things where you sort of like you had the idea, you knew it was a good idea, but you didn't think of the reality of flying it off of a building really high up.
You never
right?
do. It's always like quite anxiety inducing. Even when you're in the middle of nowhere, you constantly because there's also the factor of especially when you're in obviously a busy built up area. Anyone could spot that and be like, "Oh, who the fuck's this? Who's fucking doing surveillance?" Or because awareness of what drones are and how they work and what they can see at any given time is still quite poor. People think they're being spied on, whereas actually it's if you look at the footage, you can't really, unless the drone's right in front of you, you can't really identify anyone, right? Because it's just a fisheye lens that's 100 meters up in the sky most of the time. But if you see one out in public, you don't know that. So you just constantly the fear of being judged. And then, as I say, what if one of the propellers fails and it just fucking crashes into the middle of the road? Or...
Well, this is it. And I mean, there's that. I'd love to see that shot again. You didn't post it, but the shot where you did the one where it panned around us.
Yeah, I would see that one.
You'd forgotten about the big upstand. like next to us. So it panned around, and we were all looking straight ahead. We were ignoring where it was, and there was that moment where you sort of like caught it in the corner of your eye, just about to fly into the wall. And you just went, and grabbed hold of the fucking control.
Yeah, did that shot not pan out? Sorry, excuse the pun. Did that shot not work?
It totally worked. It just I thought the sort of pulling back one was cooler and using more than one seemed
What was
excessive.
funny about the pulling back one, Sean, is that we were watching it and it was going back, and in my head I was just thinking how funny would it'd be if it didn't stop and come back, if it just continued to flow out, and then you look at your phone and you go, well, here's space. It's on the moon now.
Well, this is it, and you know, it's like it because it is like it's, you know, such a fun thing to own, and like you know, because my drone's like tiny, like I can take it on like family days out and stuff, and it's like if you go to the beach or whatever, like it's really good fun. But then like doing that shot from the roof and then realizing there's a police station there, and then straight away I'm like, right, now I have to check if it's protected airspace or whatever. Like, because I think I said it on the day, like I did a shoot for work, which is like in the countryside, sent the drone up, and it's like, oh, by the way, about 200 meters over there is an army barracks. So definitely don't fly near there because they will shoot it down. Like, So very, very anxiety inducing, but worth it for 3 seconds of video.
Yeah, because it looked cool as fuck at the end of it, so well worth it.
Cool as fuck, yeah.
Unwieldy controls in games. I can't remember the last time I genuinely struggled. Oh, don't, Matt, don't do it. Don't upset me.
Skyward Sword?
Oh, fair enough. Fine.
Oh, right. No, he thought you were going to say...
That's correct.
I mean, I can kind of see where Matt was coming from with Metroid. That wall jump is... I know I've mentioned it on the show before. That wall jump is fucking outrageous.
Yeah, but David, are you using an analog stick to play the game?
No.
There you go. What
do you mean, there you go? I'm still saying it's a problem.
I know. The stuff like the wall jump is, but then all the other complaints that Matt had were mostly because he was using an analog stick to play the game.
Right, okay.
Well, still annoying. But yeah, no, Skyward Sword, I thought, okay, this is the time I'm going to get through this game. I haven't played this game previously. I really wanted to. It looked lovely on Switch, and neither the controller controls or the motion controls worked well enough where each one felt hamstrung. Each one felt like I didn't have quite the level of control I needed. And unfortunately I had to stop because it was just annoying as hell. But I really want to get through that game. But
see, I finished it, and even towards the end, I was still having to look at the controller from time to time to figure out what I was supposed to be pressing to do stuff. And it's
That's
like that
ridiculous,
shouldn't happen after you've been playing for 30 hours or whatever. It was terrible.
So annoying. Like I when they said, they're sorting the controls out and making some changes, I'm like, okay, they'll have one where it's kind of a good mixture of both, but neither worked well enough for me. I'm still gutted about that, but what can you do?
Yeah. GoldenEye and Time Splitters.
GoldenEye, what?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fucking nightmare, Matt.
I use C controllers. The C buttons, it's fine.
Up. No, it wasn't fine. And also the little crosshair on the screen and then the analog stick and trying to... Yeah, no, it was a fucking nightmare, Matt. You know it was. I mean, it was great at the time because it was, it was the first ones. Go back and try and play it now.
Well, yeah, I haven't. But yeah, no, at the time I was like, I assumed there were like alternative controls, but I used the C ones. I was like, this is great. I'm like, using
there was an alternative.
It was great.
There was an alternative, and it was using 2 controllers.
Also, it had an insane amount of auto
aim assist?
Auto aim. Yeah. Like the gun would twitch in the direction of where it was, like when it locked on to a player.
Just like the movies.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, but
you go back and play it. It's almost impossible.
If I went back, sure. But at the time, there was never like, the controls are a bit
that's
annoying.
Fine.
At the time, it's amazing. So
yeah,
what's
but it's
the
not like
issue?
that anymore. Because if you go back, those games are unplayable now.
But I'm not going back. But at the time, they were incredible. So is that not? Is that not enough?
Matt, you judge Super Metroid based on playing it recently, right? I'm judging GoldenEye on playing it recently.
True that.
Okay, good.
All right, well, we're both agreed.
Come at me. It's very hot.
It's very warm this evening.
Matt?
I'm not going to do that.
Sorry, I mean, sure.
I genuinely can't think of one.
All right, cool.
No need to call David that.
Socials.
Oh, we're done.
Yeah, I think so. I feel pretty done.
My My beard
It's
just
hot, is
dropped
it?
sweat on me, which is a new experience. As in, like, my moustache just drips and sweat onto my leg. I was like, what the fuck's happening? Okay, yeah, Thursday.
Probably not.
Are you
probably
streaming on
nothing.
Thursday, Sean?
Well, we're trying to schedule Patreon stuff in, aren't we? So I think we will.
Yeah.
I think we'll shelve See Your Friends this week.
But Thursday, up in the air. I'm very unlikely to be a Sean stream, maybe some other stuff. But yeah, Thursday, discount that. Friday, though, we are going to have a James Farley, The Quarry stream. James, you didn't talk about it this week, but have you enjoyed The Quarry so far?
It's all right so far. I mean, the problem is it's apparently it starts to get good after about the first 2 hours, basically, and that's about where I am. So I'm expecting it to get a lot better very soon.
Awesome. So if you missed James's first Quarry stream, that is actually on YouTube, so you can watch that ready for the good part of the game, which starts hopefully this Friday. That is on twitch.tv/TCGSco. Go there, watch James's stream live and other streams do over the week. If you've got Amazon Prime and Twitch and I'm so hard forgotten. Amazon Prime, connect that to your Twitch account. You have Twitch Prime Gaming, you get 1 free sub a month as part of that, and if you can give it to us, we really, really appreciate it. What else? Oh, yeah, so we're going to try and do some Patreon stuff in the week, but basically nothing confirmed right now. But if you're a Patreon subscriber, are either the £4.50 tier for the bonus show and the £8.50 tier for the video. Keep them peeled because we're hoping to do some stuff, but nothing quite confirmed at this point. But about Patreon, if you want to listen to the first 2 Marvel Calls episodes, then subscribe to the £4.50 tier, because when the show launches this Friday, Patreon subscribers of that tier get the second episode immediately. So go over there if you want to do that. Patreon.com/TCGS. And TCGS.co is the website for everything else. Links to our socials, all of our podcasts, everything else is all on there. So go merch as well.
Remember, Friday, please do sub to Marvel Calls, because we want to get it up that chart and gets us exposure that we can't afford. So please,
yeah, it definitely bears repeating. I know we've mentioned Patreon a lot, but that is to get it early. Like, it is fully free on every podcast service. But if you want to get the next one early, a week early, then support us on Patreon. But it is everywhere. But for this Friday, it launches properly on Apple Podcasts. Go there, whether it's on the app, iTunes, wherever it is, whatever podcast service you use, Pocket Cast, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Go there, subscribe, tell your friends, tell everyone. We want to try and make a bit of a bang about this. As David says, there's no marketing budget. We just want to get up those charts. Hopefully, we'll be up in the TV and film charts come Friday afternoon. But yeah, this is the big one. Marvel Calls is launching this Friday.
Cool. And I think it's time for a listener audit, Matt. I want to see. I mean, we've put so much effort into this. Like, we shouldn't have podcasted tonight. I'm dying over it, right?
But I'm happy we have.
Right.
I want to make sure that our listeners are actually made it to the end.
Ooh.
So it's an audit. Find out who the good ones are. Right.
Finally,
I found a hashtag that's not in use at the moment, and it's made it to the social club, and that is so. If you've made it this far, go on to Twitter, Instagram, whatever your social media thing is, and with nothing else. No, you're writing it wrong, Matt. You're writing it wrong on there.
Am I?
Oh, yeah, listen to me. Just hold your horses. Just writing it
I
down.
can see.
He's writing it on the doc.
Just so I know.
Hashtag MITTSC.
Okay.
MITTSC. Because we want it, like, we don't want people to know what you're tweeting about, right? Because then they know. So we want to find out who the true listeners are that listen to the end. Go onto Twitter and put the hashtag MITTSE. And I want to see plenty of that throughout the week, please.
Sorry.
See
James,
who the true
why
listeners are.
In the doc, James's little cursor was just going like do 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 do, and then back.
Well, I saw Matt do it once, then I just thought, that's fun. I'm going to do that. And then
Well, he
was just going left and right. Yeah, like that.
Okay, right. No one can see this. It's utterly pointless. MITTSE. Get that tweeted out. And,
SC,
David.
David. For fuck's sake, how many times?
I said C.
Said
I
E.
said C. It might have sounded like E. But made it to the social club. That's what it stands for.
You're going to move it, James.
Right, we made it. I'm done.
Just a quick check
Thanks
in. What's
for
everyone wearing?
I'm wearing nothing but swimming shorts.
Ditto.
I'm in socks, jean shorts, and a
Why
t-shirt.
got socks on,
Mental.
David?
I don't know.
Did you say jeans?
Jean shorts.
I mean, they're
jean
not,
shorts.
they're not breathing, are they?
Okay.
Jorts.
You've got jorts on. Okay.
I got my jorts on. Actually, I'm not that sweaty. I'm quite surprised. I'm alright, actually.
In my office now, it's 36.5 degrees. I'm just wearing.
Have you got a thermometer in your office?
I brought up the thermostat thing because I wanted to like see. Because last week I was dying of sweat, and I was like, "Will it be hotter this week?" And
so apparently, I haven't got
I
haven't got a thermostat in my office bit, but I've got one in the living room, and apparently it's 26 degrees. So I'm going to dive in there as soon as this is done.
Yeah. James,
t-shirt and
Nice.
pants, but it's fine.
I've got a t-shirt on, James.
it's so fucking hot.
16
It's
degrees.
basically freezing over there.
Oh yeah, it's chilly over there, isn't it? So yeah.
Might need to put a jumper on in a minute.
But still no
Scarf,
trousers.
if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No pants.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Bye.